It's Super Saturday. Hey, Marcia.
Good morning.
Marcia, it's Super Saturday.
Well, good morning.
How you
Happy
feel?
Super Saturday. I'm still standing, man. As long as I stand, I can go anywhere from here. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. You see all this gray hair?
You're a young girl.
I am in spirit.
Hey, Marcia, you ever been to LA?
I lived there
Okay. Well, we got
back
LA
in the
in the
day.
house.
They weren't born then, though.
Okay. And mind you, Marcia, it's 3 hours earlier there. So they are bright and early.
They were partying already. They were already awake. That's what they do. They don't look like they sleep much. They make it happen, right?
You know, out here hustling, making moves.
Right. That's right. They ain't sleeping. Especially in LA. They don't have no time to sleep. You gotta catch up, man. Catch up, right?
All right. Sad part, me and my wife were doing OKRs at 12 a.m. to be honest.
I love it.
What's the OKR?
Objectives and key results for the next upcoming year, setting those benchmarks and goals for the business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but y'all met me like three times. I wanted to bring in some other West Coast energy in here, some people that have helped me get to where I am as well. So I want to introduce, if I can, Markell Johnson, founder of Rare X brand, a dope fashion brand out here that gives 10% out to foster youth. He also helped design Black Wall Street, the board game, prototype, first edition, second edition, and masterpiece edition. So when y'all looking at the graphics, you see that Rare X logo on the corner. Just know it's come, my brother. Collaboration over competition every time. So shout out to Rare X. And then, of course, we got Jai Citizen on here, founder of Anomaly. He was also the first person we had intern and work for the company, doing branding, doing communication and marketing. And now he has his own podcast. He has his own fashion brand. So I want to bring Jai Citizen on and Markell, but they can talk about their own visions and tell Be More News what they got going on.
Yeah, so come on in, Markell. Tell us what it is.
Good morning. Good morning. So, yeah, as stated, I hope everybody's doing well right now. Really, honestly, it's just I'm the founder of Red's brand, man. I was a foster youth growing up. One of the things that we did not have was clothes. So that pushed me to find a way to kind of bridge that gap. So not only do I sell clothes, but a lot of clothes that I do make are going to these foster youth. And these aren't hand-me-downs. These aren't random clothes. These are pretty nice, fashionable clothes. So that those young kids can also, have some really nice stuff to wear. On top of me donating backpack drive, shoes, things like that, just making sure they're straight, because I felt like when I was in that position, we didn't have that same chance. Giving them a chance to understand that outside of this foster youth program, you could be something. I went to college, I graduated. That wasn't a thought. So just being able to be there for those kids and help them out.
That's powerful, Markell. Thank you very much. You got a good heart, brother. That's right on. Giving back. I love it. I love it.
It made me think of Biggie Smalls. Markell said, your gear wasn't. Jay-Z said it too. My gear wasn't matching.
Right. No.
See, they didn't have Toughskins back in your day, did they?
I don't know what that is.
Man, they was these clothes from Sears, man, and they came in the plaid joints, Jack. We had to wear the plaid pants, Jack. Yeah, man, the plaid joints. So how is business, Markell?
You said, how is it?
How is business?
Business is great. One of the things that we do is I'm basically releasing every season. It is at this point, it's not even that limited at this point, because originally when starting, everything was super limited. I'm doing like 100 items each one, but at this point we've grown to a point that I'm doing full releases. But you know, at most times, a lot of people love the message. They love the clothing. So when I'm releasing something, it's gone. Same day.
Right on.
Right. I usually do a bunch of different colorways. And
Lover, I can't get nothing.
I
hit him up one day after the release. He's like, bro, it's all gone. You should have told me. I'm like, okay, Kel.
But he should already know, though, right?
Right, and that's what I be saying. I'm like, tell me before, you know, we can make something work. But he likes to tell me the day after, you know. So yeah, at this point, it's like, if you want your color, your size, in your item, you have to be there on that day, or you're not getting it. Like, so that's what I mean when I say business is going really great. We have
say supply and demand, man. Right?
Yeah, we have a really, really, really nice fan base. A lot of people really appreciate and support the foster youth as well. So when I'm going to donate, a lot of people are like, oh, here I have backpacks. Oh, here I have shoes. Oh, here I have this. Take this as well with you to the children's receiving home, the foster youth home. So it's really great. It's fulfilling.
That's wonderful. That's right on. Do you have pictures of anything?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Well, can you show it?
Yeah. What's the best method? Oh, like this.
Whatever. I just want to see what it looks like. Don't we want to see what it looks like?
Yeah, what it look like, man. Where you be at?
How you gonna not show what you got and you
hold it up?
Okay, I got some clothes on hand, of course. So this is from our most recent release. This 100% sold out within probably an hour, probably 10 minutes. And it just says rare members only. This one I have to ship. This is somebody's. I have to ship this out. This is a special order. So this is one of our most recent releases, honestly. So you know we're with the heart on the sleeve. The heart is one of our things. So when your heart on your sleeve, obviously on the sleeve of the coat. So one of the major things that we focus on is going to be details and things like that as well. So just making sure that it's always felt. Because at the end of the day, we're taking it back to my foster youth. So giving little affirmations and things like that, believe in yourself on the sleeve, little things like that, you know, make them feel like at the same time as they're wearing these clothes, there's things that resonate with them as well.
That's beautiful. I like that. Wear your heart on your sleeve. That's deep, brother. I like that a lot.
So we're going to shift. We have our woman on the street, Paris Brown, and then Tasmia. Why don't you say hello? This is your hour. Let's go to Tasmia up in New York City. Unmute yourself, baby. There you go.
Good morning. Good morning. This is usually when I do the Blackout Live from New York with my co-host, sometimes Elijah, who's sleeping here, amongst other invited guests. But we usually focus on trends, Black economics across the diaspora, reviewing articles. Sometimes we have guests on. I featured some folks on the network before, so it was amazing, had amazing conversation. And we are on Saturdays at 10:15. But so happy to share this show platform with all you guys today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for giving us the space.
No problem.
So if you're not speaking, just mute yourself for me. Paris, come on in, say hello.
Good morning, everyone. You may hear a little background noise. I am traveling after time with my family yesterday. Good morning to everyone.
So Paris, tell them about what you've been doing the past week to promote Black businesses.
Okay, so I am associate publisher from the Baltimore Times, and actually this Wednesday we launched a digital shopping marketplace to help support the area's Black-owned businesses. And when I say the area, I mean Baltimore in particular. So this website launched with the support of the Greater Baltimore Urban League, the Black Chamber of Baltimore, as well as our sponsors, PNC, Lendistry, Baltimore Community Lending. So we're super excited. We put a lot of promotional support. We are partnered with WEAA, which we're super excited about. My Soul Radio, and Be More Times. And so I thank you, Donnie, for your support and everyone that is really, and I want to really encourage you to shop our businesses. I was on the website, and you can access this website also through our website, Baltimore Times Online. And I spent about a half an hour, and there, we're such a talented people. And I only went through 2 businesses, and it was really, really, the products are diverse. They're really interesting. So I want to encourage you to shop. It's also accessible, Donnie, the link through your website, I believe. Because when we support them and give back, we give back to our communities.
So Paris, Marsha, have you ever met Paris? She says you may have met before, because you both speak. You both lived in New York City for one, and you both are all over the place.
Yeah, we've met.
I'm sorry.
Right, Arch.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
Oh, so we've actually talked. I lived on 139th in New York on Strivers Row, and you had a art gallery right on 135th. Yeah.
It was 124 in St. Nick, and I lived at 144 in Convent.
Yeah, so we've met briefly here and there.
Yeah, that's great.
So
you're in Baltimore now? So you're now in Baltimore?
I am in Baltimore now, yes.
So we're tracking. We'll have to catch up.
Yeah, that would be nice. I read about some great things that you're doing. I appreciate how you report to our community at the events that you're at. So yeah, I do follow you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. So we're gonna go back out to LA. Devon, tell us about Ja. Ja, it's your turn. Step on up, Ja. Welcome to the show.
All right, but Citizen, come on in. Oh, he ready. See, I saw him take that deep breath like he's about to go ahead. King.
What's good? How you guys doing? Ja Citizen. Just feel, honored to be here with, two of these 2 gentlemen right here that have kind of been mentors to me in the game. But about myself, about my business is called Anomaly SCF. It's a lifestyle and clothing brand with the sole purpose of inspiring creativity and individuality amongst Black and brown youth. And we do that through a few mediums of art, one of them being clothing, articles, blogs, and podcasts. And 10% of all of our proceeds go towards a scholarship fund geared towards, basically, as of right now, it's geared towards programs that kind of benefited me. So my soccer program back at high school and our Black Student Union. And then we hope to expand from there. And yeah.
Mr. Citizen, I want to know, do you do radio? Because you got straight Barry White going on, bruh.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that before. The closest thing I do to radio is my podcast. But I've definitely heard that growing up. I got that voice that, can make things happen. So.
Oh yeah, and talk a little bit. I gotta help my folks brag, because both these kings on here, they don't like to brag. They don't like to talk about themselves, which is all good. That's how we're growing up, right? But can you talk about what program you're currently in and how you're going to take the education from the program to fold into your business to help other people down the road, right?
Right. So I recently just graduated from UC Davis in this past May, and went straight into an MBA program at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, focusing that to be in marketing and entrepreneurship. And with that, I hope to gain those tools, gain that knowledge, and kind of bring it back into my community, which is the Inland Empire, and focus displaying that knowledge in front of Black individuals and kind of allow them to see themselves where they want to be, whether that be, CEO of a business or owning a bunch of real estate, creating those assets for yourself. And that's kind of what I plan to do with the MBA, with Anomaly, just kind of show them that they can attain much more than just being an athlete. Because that's what a lot of people just expected from me growing up. They just figured, I'm physically capable, so I should just be an athlete and stick to that. But I graduated high school with the 4.4 GPA. I want these kids to strive for more. So, yeah.
Let's go. Talk to them. But both these young men, 4.0 scholars in high school. I think Markell had like a 3.7, 3.8 at UC Davis. So academically, entrepreneurially, and as you can see, they give back. That's what we're doing here on the West Coast, and hopefully kind of connect with the East Coast as well, so that we can keep this energy going bi-coastal, right? We should definitely stay connected. You see how we're trying to give back to foster youth group homes on the West Coast. We don't know any personally on the East Coast, but if y'all know people that can use some of these support, some of these resources, would love to get connected so that we can keep this going on both sides.
And this is Devon's game, folks, to play Black Wall Street board game.
Thank you.
You got to make sure you get your copy. Hey, Mark Clark, look, we got a famous radio personality on. Hey, Mark Clark, you lived in New York too, didn't you?
I did for 3 years. I commuted for 3 years.
You commuted from the DMV to New York?
Wow.
Yep, I lived in a basement in Queens during the week and then come home on the weekends to Bethesda.
Ooh.
And actually, for a minute, I had rented a room in Jamaica, Queens, with my people. So it was a great experience in diversity and different lifestyles. But I now understand the East Coast. I understand New York. I understand Marcia Jews now. I understand. I understand that drive and that energy and that, you know, that kind of game face you have to have to make it. And so as a guy from the Midwest, it was great. It was great because it really did give me some understanding, that's what it's all about. Good morning, everybody. And what a blessing to be here on yet another Donnie Glover experience. You know, I saw the email like 7 minutes ago and barely made the cutoff, brother. I barely made the cutoff to get my 3 minutes, but I said, let me support Donnie and also get on with another amazing group of people, because I know if Donnie assembled y'all, then y'all are amazing. And again, I'm just glad to be here this morning.
Well, Mark, what's your product? What are you selling these days?
Well, what I'm selling, Donnie, I have an event coming up on December 11th. It's my reinventing holiday event. Marcia knows, many people know, some of you guys don't. So last November, I started this journey of reinvention. I just, me and my wife just got let go of WHUR radio, and I was, we had lost our parents, and I picked up some weight and lost a job, and I was just kind of like, okay, I got to do something. And so I started this reinvention journey, which really started with me getting on a treadmill every day at 7:15 in the morning and really kind of doing a message, treadmill talk, I called it. And I started this group, Reinventing Mark Clark, and reinventing the Reinventing Group. And, I started losing weight. And then I decided to do the weight loss surgery in April. And so as of now, I'm over 100 pounds down. And the universe took this radio guy and made me a TV guy. I mean, in the midst of me doing this journey, I got an opportunity to audition for this television job. And so actually I'm working at the same TV station that my wife is working at in DC every day on a show called Great Day Washington. I'm actually at the studio right now. And so it just confirmed what I already knew. And that is that, the universe has all these plans for us and we don't even know. Who knew when I started that group on November last year that it would grow to over 1,000 followers on YouTube and over 100 people on Facebook. And so I'm doing this event on December 11th to celebrate all those things and celebrate the Mark Clark brand, because I know this TV situation I actually was in for someone who was having a baby. And so, it's not going to last forever. So I thought it'd be a great time to celebrate the victories, but also meet with possible clients and those who are supporting. So Donnie, of course, is going to be there. So I invite everybody out. It's December 11th. It's going to be at the Marriott Courtyard in Bowie, Maryland. You can go to Eventbrite and just type in Mark Clark, and the tickets are there. Early bird specials going on now until December 1st. But again, I'm just excited. And again, at this point, the irony is, as Donnie said, I'm a 30-year plus radio guy. And the irony is, I wanted to be a TV guy, Bryant Gumbel and Howard Cosell. Those were the dreams, but radio came first. Then at 55, I find myself doing radio every day. Look at guy.
Can we hear your Howard Cosell impression?
This is Howard Cosell. I'm with the
forget.
amazing Donnie Glover, a man who will not be stopped, a man who many did not believe in. But to this day, he's proving them wrong with the website. He was the first man to put a camera in front of your face when people said it was crazy. When people thought it was rude. Donnie put, Marsha, you remember those days? Donnie pulled that camera out, baby. And he'd be like, and we were like, thought he was crazy. Now everybody does it, including, and Donnie, I told you this, when my wife, who's been in television for over 20 years, when COVID hit, she was doing TV from my phone and an iPad. And that went on for a month before they even got real cameras. So Donnie, you've always been a visionary. And so why not attach our cart to your horse and see where you're going to take us? So thank you, man, for giving me that 10 minutes.
Well, Mark, I want you to meet some people. First, this is Tasmir's regular broadcast hour. Say hello, Tasmir, from New York City.
Good morning. This is Tajmir, the host of the Blackout Live from New York every Saturday at 10:15.
I see you got that baby, Taz. I see you got that baby. Shout out to them mothers, boy. Let me tell you something. I am on. You know, I lost my mother and my mother-in-law, but and I have an amazing wife. But you mothers, boy, woo, mamas run it all. Y'all run it all.
Was this your first Thanksgiving without your mom?
No, this is I think this is the second. This is the second. All of our elders are gone. And let me tell you something, that is a crazy space to be. I was a caregiver for my father-in-law, a caregiver for my mother-in-law, and it was a blessing to be able to do that. But it just makes you just really appreciate and realize all those moments. I see your baby Tasmir, all these moments that amazingly, Tasmir, you're gonna look up and you don't even remember this time. All those late nights and sore breasts, you don't forget about. Marcia, no, you forget about it. You'd be like, oh man, I can't really even, oh yeah, I did it, but I don't remember. I know you don't believe it now, but it's gonna happen, girl.
So, Mark, we also have Paris Brown. Now, she's now at the Baltimore Times, but she's pretty much international.
I love it. Well, her name says it all. I heard you, Paris, earlier, and I know you. A writer. We need more writers. We need more people like you. My goodness, and we just have to celebrate you. And you've been doing it, and you're doing it at a great organization, and you're doing it for the right cause, because you wouldn't be there. You would not
Mark
be there.
Clark, you see this board game? This is Devon Walker's game. Play Black Wall Street game.
Well, you know what, Donnie, our man got me that as a gift. Our man,
Rodney.
Man,
Was it Rodney Griffith?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I don't call him Rodney though. I don't think Rondi, exactly. Rondi since got me that as a gift. Rondi, let me tell you something just about how Black people are and the love that we have. Rondi, who's been on my journey this whole time. Donnie, I think actually you introduced me to Rondi years ago. Rondi, who's part of the reinvention crew, not only sent me the game, Rondi has sent me money on the strength just because. And I wasn't asking for anything. He just said, brother, thinking about you. Oh, you know what? It's my birthday. He sent me $100 for my birthday on the strength. And I was just saying, he sent me that game on the strength. And so this is the kind of thing that, and Marcia and Donnie, we've been, friends forever. But, and, we share many friends. And I got to say, the people who say that we don't support each other and the people say that we ain't there for each other, I got to say, I can't say that. Because through my whole journey, people have always been there for me and reached out and gone above and beyond. And Rondi is one of those people. So shout out to him. Shout out to you, my brother. Amazing game with the family. We play it, and we just. That's almost like it's almost too precious to play. It almost is a collector's piece in a sense. But again, yes, I'm familiar with it. It's amazing, man.
So Devon, come on in and introduce your crew.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got Markell Johnson over here. He's the person that helped do the graphics behind the game.
What's up, man?
He's 100% on the same wave as you as far as it being a collector's piece. He has like 4 versions of the game. None of them are opened. None of them are open. All still in the box, right? Probably even the prototype. And then he's also the founder of Rare X brand. It is a clothing brand that gives 10% to foster youth, about pouring back into the next generation. And then we got Jai Citizen over here. He was one of our first student interns working in marketing. Now he's off getting his MBA in marketing. Yes. Also started his own brand in fashion as well as sports and radio called Anomaly SCF. So a lot of dope stuff. 10% proceeds go back to supporting his own programs that he kind of grew up with, kept him out of trouble, and kept him inside the sports lane. So yeah, we would love to connect with anybody. These are dope, talented young moguls in the making. Well, they're already moguls because it's already happened, but love to be able to introduce y'all to the squad.
Markell, hold up your clothes, hold up a sample, big bro. And by the way, Markell, we got a band out of DC they call Rare Essence. You ever heard of Rare Essence?
Yeah. Yes.
That's that go-go, baby. That's that go-go music.
I just want to, in terms of that board game, we would love to maybe somehow collaborate with you, the Baltimore Times, perhaps during Black History Month. We share your story. We can do some tips. Did you know? So that'd be great. Let's talk about how we can do it. I'm driving, so I'll have to get your information from Donnie because I want to be safe, right, on the road. So, yeah, we'd love to talk about how we share your story. That'd be great.
So, Marcia Jews, how are you liking this synergy? I mean, you've lived all over the country, halfway around the world. What does Super Saturday and promoting Black businesses mean to you?
As a business owner, it's real critical. You know, we have to look within. We're so busy looking out with other people. And we have, as Black people, we have every resource we need. We are from finance to marketing to building to manufacturing to technology, STEM, arts. We excel, sports, we excel in everything. Everything. All you got to do is, what that song say? Open up the door.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
We need to open the door ourselves for our own people.
Watch this.
We're so busy thinking somebody else's water is colder, and it's not. We need to be dealing with who we are and whose we are. We need to be empowering. There shouldn't be, I'm going there. There shouldn't be a child in the city of Baltimore or any city in this country that doesn't have access to technology, to the internet, and a computer. There shouldn't be a child who does not know how to read. There should not be a child who cannot speak English. There shouldn't be a child that doesn't have a vision. It's our responsibility. That those people are not about who we are. You got a few, but we need to be looking at the resources that we have as our own people. Donnie says he's unapologetically Black. I am a Black woman, all caps. And it's real. And until we love ourselves, we're going to still be in the same position. Why are we killing each other instead of building each other up? What is it? Why aren't we putting all those drug dealers and creating their own farms where they can grow their own weed? Why aren't we being more creative and using the genius that we already have? We have allowed ourselves to be anesthetized and sleeping through what we should be doing and the power that we have. We're not using it. The love that we have, we talk all that. Hey, yo, brother, we five, all that. But what you gonna do to help me if I'm hungry? What you gonna do to help me if I don't have clothes for my children? What you gonna do if I can't pay my gas and electric bill? What are we doing? We got a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of organizations. They're doing all these cute things. But right now, we need to be in a survival mode for every community in this nation. We are in COVID. People have lost their jobs. They're losing their homes. They're being homeless. You know about that, Markell. Why? Because they don't have the help. But we want to spend $1,000 for one earring, $20,000 for you. Ain't that many jewelry boxes in it that you can put in your house.
I ain't got
For
no
real.
$300 belts, partner. I'm gonna get me a pair of Ferragamos first. I'm gonna get
That's
the
real though.
Ferragamos
That's
before I get a
real.
$300 belt.
If we as Black people took 2 years and we didn't buy any of the designer white boy stuff, and yeah, I said it. Let's not buy nothing, none of that. How much money would we have?
So
And what would we do? What would we do with that money? And how can we then help our own people and put that money in our own community and help build them out?
So let's get some answers on that. Markell, what do you say about that? Where we spend our money? We got $2 trillion in annual disposable income. None of us should be having any problems.
I mean, I think the problem with that comes in the fact of how certain people grew up. Honestly, there's the idea of a lot of these things get idolized and kind of immoralized, so that's why people want it. Honestly, I mean, I face the same thing with my clothes. People want it because they kind of can't have it, and it creates that need to get these things. So I mean, it's the same thing with cars or whatever the situation is. When you kind of can't get it, it makes you want it so much more. So that means when you finally have the money, which you don't really have it, but you get $600, you go get that $300 belt, even though you need food or you need other things so that you can flash that thing that you did not have. So I think that that's sometimes where that idea of need comes from, of lack of having it, and then feeling like as a result you need to get that, even though you don't, but a lot of the time I think that that's comes from a lack of having and then seeing it and wanting it, honestly, which doesn't always make sense.
Ja, you have similar thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. I think, especially in this era of, social media and kind of seeing everybody flaunt what they have, a lot of times, especially the youth, they see that and they're like, oh, that's real. Oh, I need to attain this. And they work towards that. And they should be working towards, setting themselves and their family up to be financially free. And like Markell said, it's like a lot of times it's kind of in your upbringing and who you have to kind of look up to. And right now, a lot of it is social media where everybody is, flaunting that fake lifestyle. So most definitely.
Taz, come on in, babe. What do you think?
Well, I think, I did a talk for college on freedom and happiness. And I think that that's probably where we have to start, because a lot of people define that to mean different things. What is freedom to them or what is happy to them? And oftentimes we take on other people's definitions of what happy and success look like, instead of wanting to be thinkers to figure that out for ourselves. So I think that that's where we really have to start with teaching folks, like young people and also adults, because there's also a lot of zombie adults out here in these streets too, probably more than young folks. I would give young folks a lot more credit, because I think that they ask a lot more questions, like daring questions that I probably would have been afraid to ask when I was their age. But I think more so we have a lot of adults that are sleeping and they don't really want to think. They would rather someone else define those things for themselves because they don't want to be uncomfortable. So I think that we have to start with ourselves and the generations before us to really try to break these cycles, because if not, young people are going to serve it to us. Gen Z is not playing around. They are very confrontational. They are very explicit in holding us accountable. I mean, when you think about how they look at work-life balance, they're like, I'm taking a mental day. I never heard of that before. I never thought about taking mental days and self-care days, and I just don't want to come to work because I'm not feeling well. I think that we have a lot to learn from them and trying to be more critical thinkers.
Devon's got to jump off, but Devon, go ahead, take the shine, baby, shine.
Yeah, I got two quick ones, right? I don't want to go too deep, but two quick ones. One, we've heard of post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? It's the fact that during a lot of a time where our ancestors were surviving through slavery, there was a lot of mental changes and cultural changes that needed to happen in order for them to emotionally, physically, and spiritually survive that 400 years of slavery in America. So it's going to take some time for us as some of their descendants to heal from that trauma, right? And when we talk about what we put on for clothes, there is a time to where if you wore nice clothes, white people knew you were free. If you wore raggedy clothes, they assumed that you were a slave. So wearing nice clothes was a way of literally surviving and not being taken back to the plantation. So today we wear nice clothes as a symbol of our status, as a symbol that I'm a free man, I'm a free woman, I have wealth. So don't talk to me a way that you would talk to someone in poverty because I'm wealthy, right? We still have that mentality, even though we might not really be wealthy, but our clothes will say that. Right. So what we need to do is shift into it. When you read Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, he talks about empowerment culture. Right. So as we shift away from a survival culture that we've had to live in, we need to now shift into an empowerment culture, like Jai was saying, like Markell was saying, to where what we're purchasing is now empowering ourselves. How can we make wearing a rare hoodie, right, which is Black owned, which is luxury? How can we make wearing a anomaly snow jacket, which is Black owned, which is luxury? How can we make that now the cool thing to do? And 10% of what they're doing is going back into our community. 10% of Louis V, I don't know where that's going. 10% of Gucci, I don't know where that's going, right? But I know 10% of Rare is going to Falls Street. I know 10% of Play Black Wall Street is going to academics and scholarships. So how can we now make earn your leisure buying stocks, right? Trappers over here talking about let's trap, and everything's about buying stocks, buying ETF funds, like, and they're making investing cool. I think the more that we can put people like that on the pedestal, the more that we can put buying cryptocurrency, starting your own business, having a radio show, having a podcast, we can make that the cool culture. I think the next generation, Gen Z, Gen XY, period, dot, $100 signs, whatever they're going to call themselves 100 years from now, like they're going to be a result from the culture that we are planting seeds for today.
Devon, any thoughts on how to get more celebrities involved in the Black Wall Street movement?
Wow. That is a great question. I think, unfortunately, the number one way to do it is you have to make it something that makes tax sense for them, right? A lot of celebrities, they do have a lot of dollars and they have ways that they want to probably write off a lot of those dollars. Definitely go ahead and get Donnie Glover's book right there, I Am Black Wall Street. Go ahead and get it. But yeah, I feel like we need to make entities that make tax deductions for these celebrities so that as they're pouring in their $10 million, their $5 million, their $1 million, it can make sense for them. I also think, whether it's a good or bad thing, a lot of celebrities are about that legacy, right? What can you name after them? Can you name a scholarship after them? Can you name a building after them? Can you name a radio segment after them? So 100 years from now, there's still the LeBron James building. There's still the Oprah Winfrey building, the Denzel Washington building, the Michael G. Jordan XYZ, right? So I think those would be my two things. And I have some interesting ideas that I don't know if I want to say on camera because they have to do with Markell's brand. I don't know if we talked about it yet. I'll talk to you when we go play basketball in like 30 minutes, sir. we gonna talk about it. I got some ideas for you. Oh, I can't. Oh, Glover, you start talking spicy too.
Devon, thank you for taking time out. Paris, come on in. I know you want to say something. Mark Clark.
Yes, I do. And, it takes all of what everyone is saying. I think for me, I used to rent products out of South Africa. And what I can say is it's an education process, but I think we're headed in the right direction because one of the things we also, of the many things we need to do is we need to create these systems, right, for people and make the public aware or our community aware that there are these brands that we can support. And so I do agree that our younger generation, they are a socially conscious generation. They want to know, what are you doing for your community? What's your corporate social responsibility? And I don't buy Louis Vuitton. I found out on a trip to Paris, study abroad, he's been dead for 80 years. So every time we buy one of those, I'm like amazed that people buy that brand. And so anyway, I won't even go there about that, but creating these systems, creating a Black Wall Street, right? Creating that consciousness about these entities that support us is important. But I think that it's also very deliberate. We have to make the effort to buy from each other. And it's a deliberate choice. You first have to know about it. First is the education process, our mindset. And then you have to know that the product exists. And then we have to create these systems, these shopping entities, these Buy Black, this Black Saturday, all of these things. We have to create those forums that allow us to be able to do it. So it's a process, but I think that we are headed in the right direction. Thank you. Thanks to people like you, Donnie, and everyone on this call. Like, all of these are small steps. And one day we'll get to that place and we'll realize, oh my goodness, we're there, because each one of us created a platform. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We need these platforms to be able to create the environment for us to support each other.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah, so I'm at this, and I think it might just be I hope it's not the old man space, but what I realized, I was complaining the other day to Allison about, so Lil Boosie was performing at Jackson State's homecoming, and Lil Boosie's now convinced to go to college, so Lil Boosie wants to go to college. All right, great. But what I was tripping on was, college, and this is nothing new for HBCUs, when you have the rap star come perform at the college. But, as somebody who worked in Black radio for over 30 years, Donnie, and, we've heard the people complaining about it. And now I'm at the age where I get it, because the rap got co-opted, and the focus on materialism, drugs, criminal activity. Marcia, we remember when it happened, right? We remember where it started and where it is now, right? And so even in 2021, with all this technology, we still whipping it up in the kitchen, Donnie. I mean, we are whipping it up in the kitchen now. The same pans we used 40 years ago, that's still a thing. Yes, the promotion of selling drugs, the promotion of buying Louis Vuitton, the promotion of blah, 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 calling our women bitches and hoes, downgrading, you got beef with niggas. It's like, this was not by accident. This is a whole program, right? It's a program that turns into propaganda that drives the kids to kill for a belt. I saw in DC, a 70-year-old guy got killed the other day, a couple weeks ago, and they had video of the kids, and they looked like they all shopped at Nordstrom, right? And it just made me think about, again, even when I was in New York, and New York is heavy with that, the drive to have the material things, right? It's the drive they were willing to die for it. These kids are willing to die for all that stuff. And I was complaining about it, and my wife said, we're at fault. She said, we never said anything. And, I look back at it, and she's absolutely right. Because I was there. I was there when hip hop changed, when the music changed, when the purpose of it changed, and I didn't say a damn thing. I thought that, yeah, I'm doing this morning show, and hopefully my information that I'm sharing can combat the negative music that we're playing. But I was wrong. And I think I look back in those HBCUs when they didn't allow that bullshit. No, you're not going to perform at halftime because this music is crap. No, you're not going to wear that on campus because you're not fitting into what we demand of excellence. No, you're not going to talk to people a certain way because we don't let you do that. You know what I mean? Our generation let the ball go. We let it go.
I gotta come at you, Mark.
And now we complain about these kids and what their choices are because we didn't really stand up and do what we're supposed to do. That's one point. And just one more thing, Donnie, just quickly. And then lastly, what I also recognize at this age, Donnie, is we don't have any organizations with any teeth, right? We have nothing. We are we have no teeth in any organization. We infight when we're trying to stand up for whatever we're trying to do, be it, from politics to whatever. We're never on one accord. And that's the formula that the Republicans and then the Jews and all the groups we always pull out, we always bring them up to say this is what they do, and that's the point. They don't like each other, they don't mess with each other, but when they get on that one accord, they understand that's the only way you move anything forward. And sadly, I think we're more disconnected now than we've ever been. So that's my ramble. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Donnie.
Tasmia, it's your show. Come on.
So in some ways, I agree, but we do have a place. We have BBEC, where I met Donnie at, where we were being very aggressive about a Black economic agenda and being very intentional about saying the word Black, because there has been a washing down where we want to say minority so we can include everybody. But we need to go back to being comfortable with saying Black and demanding what we need as Black people and being okay with excluding other groups, because we ourselves are also excluded from other groups. But for some reason, our politicians and the people that we allow to speak for us, they say Black for the Black vote, and then it turns into minority policies. And again, we don't hold them accountable to say, what are you going to do for Black people? You know, we hear this every time there's elections. We need to get the Black people out to vote. We need to get the Black people out to vote. But no one ever has a policy specifically speaking to Black people. They say Black and fill in the blank. And that's on us, because if we held back our vote, they could do nothing. No one can do nothing without us. But I think that we all fall into this, it's my duty, but our duty is really to preserve ourselves, but we don't. And then when we write laws, we also exclude ourselves out of the laws that we write. So we do a whole lot of exclusion for the way to get along. So we want to play nice. And I think that we have to become very militant about what we want if we really want to make any kind of change, because we are fighting against total institutions that are designed for us not to be included. And so trying to play nice will not get us to be included. We have to attack it at a different perspective, and we have to be loud and be unafraid to say what we need, and just like band together and support each other when someone is saying this is what I think Black people need, and equip people with the information to speak intelligently about the diaspora of Black people, but more specifically about African American people, because if it wasn't for us being enslaved here, we would pave no ways for anyone else to come. So I think that we also get confused around race and immigration, and that's not by coincidence. That's intentional, because if you start saying, well, I want to talk about Black people that were born in America, and then someone says, well, what about a Black person born somewhere else? Now you get into an immigration conversation and not a racial conversation. So I think we need to call people out on the bullshit to stop trying to confuse us so we can speak accurately about what we want. And we need to just equip people with the information to be able to do that and to stop trying to play nice. So those are my thoughts.
And I think you're right on point. And one of the things that we need to really be focused on is creating an environment where we have our own politicians that we want to put up and vote for. So and we sit down and we determine what it is that we want, and we work cohesively. We have to learn how to work together as a community, not individuals. We all have something in this, all of us, and everybody may need something different. But what we do need is to make certain that we put all of our egos behind us and sit down and start identifying those politicians who have our interest at heart. Who are those people who are going to do what needs to be done for our community? Who's out there talking about what should be happening with our children not being able to get on the internet and get their classes, that they're not able to go to school? That is unacceptable, and we allow it. So we have to put all of those egos down. What do they say? Check your egos at the door and come on down and say, okay, this is what we need to do, and this is how we need to do it, and this is who we're going to vote for. And if you can't identify with all of these things that we're saying, you will not get these votes.
Exactly.
And we need to be in a place where we are in control of all of, we have how many, 600 people just in Baltimore, 600,000 people, or however many there are. Every one of those people need to be addressed with what we need to do. We need to make certain that across this nation, that's what we're doing. And every organization, be it fraternal or maternal or corporate, I don't care. We need to pull all these people together. And if y'all ain't been conscious, you need to be conscious now.
Yeah. You know what? In terms of what Marsha is saying, we did an article. We did an op-ed in the Baltimore Times, and we talked about the bloc, the Congressional Black Caucus bloc, and we tagged President Biden. And I kid you not, in about 48 hours, he decided he wanted to meet with the CBC. And so one of the things that, in having worked on Capitol Hill, we represent a bloc. And Marsha's absolutely right. We can sway the vote right there on Capitol Hill if we all agree to vote together. It is so powerful. So CBCs and all of those entities, if it wasn't for CBC, our Black issues would never be on the table because they represent what a stand. So anytime you have those organizations, there's no standing committee, right, where they are addressed. So you're absolutely right. But I agree with you, Marsha. We need to inform the community of the power of their vote, and then help them to understand the CBC can sway the vote. If we knew how powerful we were, we would get everything they want, because if we just voted just as a bloc, and I saw this, I kid you not, that's how NAFTA got passed. President Clinton called all of the CBC and he asked them, what did you want for your vote? Because he saw us as a bloc. And so and that's part of using the newspaper to make our issues known. And we're so glad that, we tagged the president, we tagged CBC, and we tagged some folks. And so they're starting to meet. So now even the president now is seeing, hey, wait a minute, I got something I can use here to help Black people. So you're absolutely right.
Hold on one second, Diane. Let me just respond to this. You're on point, Paris. But what I want to add to that, because the CBC, but we need to also deal with those state organizations, the state legislators, and the city. So if we look at it from the federal, state, and city, you got the National Organization of Black County Officials, you've got CBC, you've got the state, whatever, Maryland Legislative Black Caucus, you got all of that, and then you've got them in the city. Every single one of those layers of politicians need to understand what they're supposed to do and their constituents.
And I think the problem is, to my opinion, is our relationship with our ministers, leaders, and our politicians, leaders, is we got it wrong. They work for us, and we have this. We treat them, we put them on a pedestal. Well, and we don't demand, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, that we get their ass out. We have this. I told Donnie this a couple years ago. I host so many events, and you're hosting an event, and they come up and whisper in your ear, "Oh, Representative so-and-so is here." I'm not doing that shit no more. If we don't know who you are, if you're in the House and you're a politician, and we don't know who you are, then you're not doing your job. And why do I need to point you? I shouldn't have to point you out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we have this fake ass relationship, and we need to get rid of these cats, especially when you look at our politicians. A lot of them aren't even professionals. They're making more money as a politician than they would if they had a job, because they don't have any skills. We need to put people in charge who know how to do. If you don't know how to organize, and you're not a master connector with the community, then your ass don't need to be a politician. If you're a doctor, lawyer, or a scientist, at least you have something you can offer. And I think we have to start, again, we got to look at these people and say, who is this person? What have they done? If they're not doing it, get them out the way and put some people in charge who can. And then also these old politicians, been sitting there in that position for 1 billion years, have all this respect. Why? What have you done? you know. And again, it's like they're part of the system that just pays everything off. I brought this up at a party the other day with someone I won't mention, and what made me laugh was this person got defensive. Why? Because yes, he's a part of the system. You know, you pay so-and-so off and the blacks go away. We need to have people who represent us that are doing their jobs, and it's time. You know, I'm just so sick of it. And then lastly, all these organizations, right? It hit me the other day. Look at the Greek organizations, right? The Greek organizations should be a bank. They should be a bank.
They
all
should.
Those people, if everybody donated $1 who's in a Greek organization, all of them would have millions of dollars. The president could be in control of money. So now you have a source of funding things that need to get done. And then lastly, the church piece. If you got a church in the hood and you don't have a program for kids after school, and you don't have a program of midnight basketball, and you don't have a computer program, then what are you doing? What are you doing with this big mega church and you ain't offering nothing for the community? We don't have to have rec centers. We got churches. And so these are the things that, you know, again, I'm an old man, I guess now, because now it just makes me angry. And then we're talking about it, but it's almost like, but how do we do it though? You know, how do we do it? That's the problem. How do we make this thing? How do we have more teeth with organizations? And I think we do get into we get into the small things, like you say, the small details, but we don't get into and it's a big, I don't know the answer. I'm really just expressing frustration, but this is where I am, you know, like I'm tired of the politicians. What are you doing? You know? And
that's real.
Hold tight. We've just been joined by Rondi Griffin. Rondi,
snap.
He's been a big supporter of Mark Clark, of Be More News, and the efforts I've done. Rondi, come on in. They were bragging. Mark Clark was bragging about you, man. I had to go pull him out of the after hours. Or actually, he was at the after hours.
Marsha, Mark, Donnie, Tajmir, you guys are doing digital media in such a big way that you're the future of news. And Mark, to your point, the DeFi community is the path for those organizations to organize banking. So, you know, you're on the right path, and I'm glad that you're on mentioning that. But thank you also for all that you do, and your congratulations. Can't wait to see you at your upcoming event. Donnie, can't wait to see you at your upcoming event. So I'm going to have to step away. I'm, as you know, Donnie, taking care of my mom. So I definitely want to thank you, Mark, and you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll be popping in and out. Marsha, Tajmir, have a great rest of your day.
Good deal. Leroy, come on and say hello. You're making all them comments in the sidebar. I can't keep up with you. Might as well just give him a link, Marsha, because he ain't gonna stop. He won't. What Chris Rock say? We won't stop. I go. You know, Mark Clark. You know all of it.
Can't stop, won't stop.
That's it. Get it. What up, Walter? Say hello to your girl Taz up in New York City.
What's up, Taz? Ashley.
Hello.
This is, I mean, Donnie, you know, these are conversations that we've had time and time again. These are conversations that we've had time and time again. And the reverberation of them being, you know, talked about, to me, the thing isn't talked about because we know the problems and we've even come up with some great solutions, but now is the time to implement them. There's vision, there's planning, and then there has to be implementation. Those are the three kind of tiers of what needs to be done. We've done all of the talking. Now the time is, and we've talked about the politicians. Okay, what is stopping us from deciding what politician that we want to get behind, going to them and galvanizing behind them with the resources that they need in order to get elected? Because all of us on here, well, maybe not Taz, those of us that are from Baltimore know the system that is in place and the juggernaut that is there. So to fight that juggernaut, you have to be able to, it's that, I don't say David and Goliath type thing, but you have to know, hey, we've got to put these things in place before we even think about things getting done. Because even if that person does get put into place, how are we going to keep them there? Because all of us know that there will be everything and the kitchen sink thrown at them to be able to get them out of there. We know it, we've seen it, and everything else. So we have to understand all of that, and we have to say, look, what are pulling those resources that we have, whether it's financial resources, whether it's human capital, whether it's political capital, all of those aspects, community capital, all of those have to come together. All of that has to be put together. And until we put that together, say this is how we're going to put it together, let's sit down and put it together, then we'll just continue to just talk about it. We'll continue to talk about it. We'll keep saying the same things, and the same people will continue to be put in the same positions that we keep saying need to be replaced. We've seen it for over 40 years in parts of Baltimore. I'm not going to go all the way there, but in Baltimore. So
that insanity, doing the same thing over and over again.
Right. That is Miss Marsha. Exactly. Insanity. Those are the things that we know need to be done. We know what the issues are. We know it needs to be done. And the only question is who can we get for what resources? If everybody plays their role, and I'm not trying to go biblical, but if everybody plays their role, then the wall goes up. From Nehemiah, he built the wall because the people had a mind to build it. Everybody understood what role they played, and they brought to the table their job. The Patriots, the football Patriots, with Belichick, do your job. You understand what your job is, know what your job is, and you do that what you're asked to do. And everybody we become stronger. We become stronger together because we're working as a collective.
Let me shift back to Mark Clark. Mark Clark, we've played this game with these politicians time and time again, and I won't call names out of respect for the dead, but we got black politicians that tend to die in office. They don't want to give it up. If you become a U.S. senator, you're a millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the funny part, and again, I think we get to a certain age, and I think we're all aware of the system. And to be fair, the system's not just it's the system for everybody. I mean, look at the poor Republican states that vote against their own self-interest with the same issues. So it's not just black folks. It's the system. It's the system. The system keeps us separate and has the individuals fighting each other, because if we ever came together, as they tried to do with the Black Panthers, when you try to come together with the poor voting bloc, they will kill you, right? And
Mark, have you been to Baltimore lately?
I have. Have I been to Baltimore? Yes.
Lately.
Yeah. What's up? What's up, Donnie? That Donnie question to get you. Yes, Donnie, I have. What's going on?
Do you remember when you guys spent the night in front of Western District Police Station?
Yes, 92 hours of peace, baby.
Okay. Do you know that we now have white addicts all throughout Sandtown, sleeping in vacant, shooting dope in the alley, digging in the trash cans?
I did not know. I'm sorry. Right. I did not know that, my friend. You're right. I have not. Yeah. And so the issue, it really is like.
And they got an attitude too. I forgot that part. They come with attitude.
Well, everybody's tired. I think we're all tired. And I think we, like Leroy says, we talk about it, but I guess the big question is, what are we going to do, and what can we do, and how do we approach it? I mean, again, Marsha has been singing this song for a long time, like with the information. But what do we do, guys? I mean, I don't know. It's overwhelming. And let me keep it real. I'll give you a prime example. And I have to laugh because when I say, I think black folks, so I've been in black radio my whole life, and I get this TV job. When I got the TV job, Marsha, you think those comments I used to post on Facebook changed a little bit? Got the TV job, Donnie. I wasn't as radical, being in black radio, I could say what I want to say for all the time. Blah, 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 blah. I got the TV job. I was like, maybe I better back off before they make a decision. And this is the reality.
That's real.
That we face, right? This is the reality that we face when you have a job, a certain job. you can no longer be like Tasmir said, Black, we gonna do. It's like, well, maybe if I say it this way, it doesn't sound as blah blah blah, and it doesn't jeopardize my job. So it's almost like those who have most to lose become the quiet, and you can't really move a certain way. And so yeah, it becomes very difficult.
I got a classic example for you. The Maryland Black Caucus had a gubernatorial forum for the next governor to be elected next year. The name of the forum by the Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland was, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? The Black Agenda. That's the name of it. The Black Agenda. Rashawn Baker, Prince George's County executive, got on there and started saying something to the effect, we don't need a black agenda. We need an agenda for all people of color. Yeah. And it's like, dude, the marquee says the Black Agenda. Tasmir just talked about it. We don't like the term minority business enterprise. Why? Because when it started out, minority business enterprise inferred Black people. But now it means everybody. So, you know, these politicians, Tasmir, what do you think?
So I think, Mark, you can use your platform to amplify the people that are saying Black. I think that we have to find a happy medium, right? Because we understand everybody can't be gangster out in these streets, because some people got to have the job to finance the gangster. But I think we just have to I think we just have to come to a meeting of the minds that the people that are in positions to open up doors, you guys stay there and you just open up the door for us. I think and let us take the hits, because we don't have a person to report to, right? So people that don't have someone to report to, I think we should allow the people that are financially and strategically placed to open up the doors and back the people that are willing to take the hits. That's just what I think, because no one is going to go after someone that's super independent. And you do have a lot of people that are very independent that don't have to muffle their voices in order to stay in position. But we need you guys, right? We need TV to amplify certain conversations, to invite us to certain meetings, to give us spaces at certain tables. And then you just let us just run off with it, right? Because then you can't get in trouble for it because you didn't say it. So you just like quote and drop something, or share or sponsor or something like that. I think that that's the way that we could probably figure out how to keep Black on the table.
Well, we do, Tasmir. You know, I think, again, Marsha Donnie's had his own platform forever. But I think Marsha and I definitely, Leroy, we know the issue is we need more of us who are willing to care, and more of us who are willing to have not just the conversation. If we are in a position, I think our track record shows we are going to help. You know what I mean? If I'm going to be on TV, I'm going to do a story on Harold Bell, the founder of basically Black Sports Talk, who's 80-something years old, and Freeman Rabowski, what he's done at that program. And you know what I mean? This is what it's in our nature. It's what we do. But what the problem is, as we know, many of us, and again, it's easy to do, they don't really use their resources. They really won't pull up another brother or a sister to help them get into position. And it's amazing. I'm amazed at my age how the system knows how to pick that brother or sister who does not have any interest of helping. That's the part. The system is amazing to me, because they will pick that person that you know personally who does not give a damn about giving opportunity, educating, and expanding. They'll pick that super selfish person who just is concerned about having the Maybach or the car or the $400 belt. It's amazing how the system does that. And so I think, and I think conversations are powerful. And I think, again, we're going to talk to young people and educate them. But the challenge is getting more people who are in position to make those determinations and come up, be a part of the movement, be a part of the answer, I guess.
Leroy?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's it. I think the more the more exposure that we give those individuals or organizations that are doing the things that we're talking about, I think that's how you get more people involved. I mean, Donnie, you do an excellent job. Brother Mark, you with your platform. There are platforms that do this very thing, and I've said this, that I believe that the internet is the great equalizer. It is really giving those individuals that would not ordinarily get that exposure. It gives them the platforms to be able to talk about the things that they are doing, and we've got to be diligent about putting them on. To let people know who they are. I mean, it's a constant and consistent thing that has to be put on so that people are aware of what's going on. Like Tasman said, there are organizations doing what we're talking about. So let's have a conversation with them, bring them to the platforms, talk with them to say, hey, we want to do our part and be able to get you out there.
I got a question for you, Leroy. Is it time for us to start looking more towards things we've been shunned away from? Case in point, Africa. Case in point, the Final Call newspaper. You talk about media. You talk about Black media. There's no voice more independent than the Final Call, but a lot of us have been, given an ugly impression of the Final Call. We got to cop it on the slide. You can't carry it and show everybody, hey, I'm reading the Final Call. And then Facebook, I think they blocked Louis Farrakhan. Is it time to start reassessing what we have? Mark Clark, I see you laughing.
Well, I think the thing is, Donnie, those media outlets, the Final Call, the National Black Unity News, that media covers a myriad of things. I mean, so we have to understand and use each of those platforms strategically, including the Final Call. Now, people want to, think that it's filled with great information. But who talks to those people that are the decision makers with giving the Final Call exposure so people can know about those stories? The National Black Unity News has all of that in it as well. The stories that are put in there by Brother David Murphy and them are excellent, and that has that African connection too, because it's a global newspaper. So those avenues are out there. So it's not that, I don't think it's shifting, Donnie. I think it's just uplifting them even more, and we have to get people behind them.
And I
one
think,
of the things.
I'm sorry.
So here's where I want people to be.
Mark Clark's got to go.
Okay,
Mark,
go ahead.
But Mark, put that. You don't.
Well, no, I just wanted to say briefly, and again, I think just like you said, not sadly. Organizations, outlets who've been out there for a long time, I think at the end of the day, we have to have a real conversation. And maybe, Donnie, this platform can help have that conversation where we talk to the editors of the Final Call. We talk to, because the community, when we talk about Black leadership who's been on the stage a long time, the community wants some answers. The community wants to know, these promises that were made many years ago, what happened? We want to know, like you said, it's almost like a lot of the organizations, it's just one side. I mean, Be More News has always been open. If you got a question about Donnie, you can get to him. And in fact, you can talk to him right now on live, whatever. A lot of these organizations and a lot of these politicians have not been. And there's a lot of questions. And so people have questions about the quality of the work. They have questions about the angle. They have a question about the purpose. And so I think we have to have these conversations to make people believe and buy in again. Because a lot of, the people who've been on the platform a long time, there's a lot of questions, man. There's a lot of questions. People want answers. And some people don't even question anymore. They just they don't care. They don't even believe in it. They've lost faith. You know what I mean? So I think there almost needs to be a reckoning so we can have a reset because you're right. A lot of these platforms have been out there a long time, and they really are very archival even, but because of the way people feel about them, they don't really think that way, And shout out to Eartha, by the way. I had a conversation. Eartha gave me some insight. She's been a part of the keeping the memory of the Minuteman March alive for the last decade or so. And she said something the other day that was just so powerful. And I thought she was so right. She said, forget about how you feel about Farrakhan, how you feel about specifics. What you have to talk about is that day and making sure we keep the history in that moment. And that's something that we don't really do a good job of. And those magazines you mentioned, Leroy, you're right. They basically have done that. They're very super valuable. They're history. But I think some of us have beef with it, and so we almost toss it away, and we can't really afford to do that. So.
I'd like to also say something here to segue as part of this. As we look at all of the newspapers and the radio shows and all the things that we want and how we get information to one another, we also have to financially support these Black news outlets. I don't care if it's online here, if it's a newsletter, whatever it is, we have to support it. You want information, you want to know what's going on, but if you're not paying a subscription or asking for a subscription or just donating some money so people can afford to keep the lights on, people can afford to go ahead and get the work done, then you can't get there from here. You're fooling ourselves. So see, I'm going to go back to my original conversation until we look within our own community and say, what does our community need? How can we empower and build our community? And it's at every level. It's every level, and you can't dismiss it. You can't ignore it because it's real. You know, Donnie Glover pays for this for us to be on here. You know, somebody else, you got newspaper, Baltimore Times, you got the Afro, you got everybody else. You got hundreds, thousands of newsletters, thousands of papers in your own community. Why aren't you supporting it? And people are sitting struggling, trying to beg somebody to give them some money. That's not right. But you want the information. But what you going to do to sustain it?
We got Adrian Harpool online. Big ups to Adrian Harpool. You know, one thing I wanted to share, and all three of you, I think, are writers. We don't have enough people writing letters to the editor of the newspapers, to the radio stations, etc. We don't have enough people writing letters. Anybody want to comment, Leroy?
Well, when you say letters, Don, you mean to get their attention, or to kind of contribute to their papers?
Yes,
did you hear me, Don?
to the editor. We don't write enough editorials, op-eds. We don't write. We don't write.
And that may be something that does need to be done. Those op-eds, that'd be interesting to see with some of the other news, with a lot of the newspapers. But the two that we just mentioned, I don't know if they do op-eds. I know they have editors, like the National Black Unity News. They have editors for that talk about different topics with them. I don't know if the Final Call does op-eds or anything like that. I guess that it might be considered op-eds depending on who does that particular writing and stuff like that. And I'm quite sure the Baltimore Times and the other newspaper outlets, they may have them, and it may just be a matter of reaching out to them and saying, hey, I have someone who wants to be a contributor to the newspaper, or however, if they can be a one-time contributor, or they can kind of contribute.
Leroy, I'm just saying, we don't write letters. Like when 92Q puts something funky on the radio that we don't like, we should write a letter to the general manager and say, hey, we will not accept that. If you want to keep doing business in our community, you're going to stop playing that BS. Come on, Taz.
So Donnie has been pushing me to write more, which I thank him for that. And I have been writing more. I wrote my first op-ed a few weeks ago. But I feel that as a millennial, and I have had these conversations with others, that there's a gap in our elders passing the torch and showing, like, when you guys were coming of age, some people had SNCC or weren't far removed from SNCC. We haven't had that kind of catch-all kind of place. So a lot of people are learning as they go. And I don't think that we can afford to have a whole generation or two generations of people relearning what has already been learned, right? So if we had something that galvanized a couple of people together to start writing, because we can write. I think that we are like the most educated generation ever, right? But we don't have the system in place of how to get something done, which is why I'm indebted to Donnie for like pushing me to have a show, for pushing me to think outside of the box, for pushing me to have conversations that I have with my colleagues over dinner or on FaceTime and have them on bigger platforms, right? But I think that we need to start identifying other people that can be the next emerging leaders behind us and start grooming them, because we're going to be at a void of leadership soon, because people don't write, people type. Right. And then we're going to move into a place where people just do voice memos. And so a lot of this art is being lost. And I think that a lot of younger folks are looking to elders to teach the way of how to keep doing it, because if we don't learn from you guys, we're going to learn from someone else that's pushing minority, right? Because when I talk to younger politicians and they want to get into office, they're like, well, I'm already being groomed by this other person, and this other person is teaching me that I have to say it this way. So we're losing, right? We're already at this whole thing because people feel like I need to have this alliance, I need to have this validation. And then to some of these organizations, I think old people need to retire. I think they need to identify a couple of young people and pour into them and go into the background, because I feel like in a lot of the positions that I've had, old people don't want to give up the torch. They want to indoctrinate you in this whole, like, I need to do, what is this show? The Devil Wears Prada for you to kiss the ring, for me to teach you something. And people don't have that kind of tolerance anymore. So you're losing talent to other industries because people just don't want to deal with the nonsense. And in that, you don't get the teachings that are needed. So I think that's probably why people aren't writing, Donnie.
As you were talking, made me think of Al Sharpton. How long is he gonna be in that slot? How long is Mark Morial gonna be running the Urban League? How long these people gonna be running this chamber or that chamber? I mean, pass the damn ball.
But see, here's the thing with that, Donnie, and I agree with Taz that the elders have not groomed the next generation for leadership. But here's the thing too, and I always go back to the song by John Legend and Common from the movie Selma, and there's a line in there where he says you need the wisdom of the elders and the energy of the youth in order for it to happen. But you, and Taz, I'll say this to you, that your generation has to be willing to listen, and not think that you know everything. And all of us have been there where we thought there wasn't anything that anybody could teach us, but we have to be willing to sit and learn and sit and understand how to maneuver, because the elders have been where we're trying to get to, or where you're trying to get to. So they know the path. They can show you how not to bump your head against certain walls, because they've encountered them. And the elders have to be willing to give the strategies, give the knowledge and the knowledge that they have, so that it can be instilled in them. And it always seems to be this battle, between the elders and the younger generation. That's gone on for years. That's been years and years.
Let our elder, with all due respect, respond.
Absolutely.
So I am a firm believer in helping and to encourage and to push people forward. But you can't always look at the elder and have a negative attitude because you can't listen. And too often I've had young people around me that I'm going to be straight up no chaser. Now, here's what has happened. If this is what we've done, give me something that works. Give me your best suggestion, and then you don't deliver. So if you don't deliver, you want to talk all that, but you don't deliver. I'm equal opportunity. I need somebody to pass the baton to. And I have people, young people around me that will call and we talk all hours of the day and night. Straight up, no chaser. But for those who don't follow through, who say they're going to do something, they don't show up, they don't deliver, then I'm done. But I start my conversation with that. And I've had a lot of folks that I've worked with over my years. I'll be 70 in March. All these years, I have talked to young people, and all of those people who have followed the guideline, who had good questions or good rebuttals. I'm open to the conversation. We have some screaming matches. We've done it all. But at the end of the day, they say, oh, she hard to work for. She ain't playing with you, but they got some tools to walk away with. Now, if you can get out your ego and say, what's my takeaway? How am I going to be empowered? What can I learn from this person? Even if it's something that I don't like, I know not to do that. But until we get to the place where we're looking at ourselves first, and we're looking at what is our goal and objective with those elders, if you don't even know, you need to say that. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say to you. And I've done that with my elders. There are 3 women who've been in my life here in Baltimore: Margaret Armstrong, Ann Emery, and Carol Seibel. 3 of the baddest, 2 Black women, 1 Jew. Cold-blooded, straight up, no chaser. They would be in my face. So why did you say that on the, what was that interview about? So wait a minute, how come? They were always in my face. They did not play. They're all deceased now, but I learned from them. And there were times when I start to talk and they say, well, I'm not finished. You so busy trying to say what you got to say. You ain't heard what I said. You haven't learned what are you going to learn from me?
I ain't know you ever got G-checked in Baltimore.
What? Margaret Armstrong got me on the board of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. I was the first Black woman to chair the gala. Margaret Armstrong and Carol Seibel. And so when you sit down and people put their arms around you, and there's more, but those are the 3 who were intimately in my life. And so when you sit down and you listen, you have these people at that time. Margaret was probably in her 70s then. Carol was probably in her 60s. Ann was probably the same thing. I'm 30, 40 years old. They're telling me what to do, but I listened. They knew where all the bones were buried, who all the players were, who this, who's that. They opened up those doors and stuff for me. Little country girl from Indiana coming to Baltimore. I didn't know nobody. But how are we going to, what is it that we want to do? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? How do you see yourself 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? How do you see yourself? And who helped you to get there? Because none of us can do it by ourselves. None of us can do it by ourselves. You got to always call somebody. How do I get to this? How do I do that? How do I do this? And there's always somebody in your circle, but they want you to listen to them. They want you to listen. And you can't do it. You can't get there. This white woman, Jewish woman, she was artsy. Carol Seibel would call me up, Marcia, I saw that you did so and so, but listen, let's have lunch because we need to talk about that. And I don't like that. I think there's a different way to do this. Now, I could have sat there and said, yeah, okay, what? All right. But she opened up doors for me I wouldn't have normally been able to open up. I met people who I can make a phone call and they'll answer it. But they positioned me. They told me what to do, what not to do, and I listened. I don't have a college degree. I ran a multi-million-dollar corporation. But I had people along the way guide me, calling me up. That was real stupid. Or I heard you doing so and so, and checking me. And I was humble enough and hungry enough to listen.
Miss Marcia, can I ask you this real quick?
Sure.
You talked about them checking you, but can you talk about too how much they poured into you as far as letting you know what you were doing right as well too?
Oh, no question. No question. But see, it's a open conversation. People will call and congratulate you, and I heard that you do this, or Marcia, had you thought about doing that? They gave me stuff to think about. When you're doing this, this is how you do this. Do you want to be on a board, or what are your goals and objectives? We had all kinds of life lessons. My parents are all deceased. These people took it to the next level. I didn't need to get a college degree. They gave it to me, right? They gave me lessons that aren't standing at the front at the podium. And it was conversational. So you could have a cup of coffee and be casual and have people just listening to the three of those different women and hear their stories and what they did, what they had to overcome, or what they had to deal with in their genre, in their age, throughout those years, those experiences. And I have a lot of those people. Those are the three that were real strong in my life. I mean, where we would go to dinner at their house and all that stuff. But there are a lot of people who have helped me along the way, and I've learned from them. I have been a good listener. And many of them have said to me, just listen, just listen. You ain't got to tell me, you ain't got to talk. Just listen, Marcia, because I'm a talker. I talk. Just listen. And that's what we need our young people to do. Just listen. Get out of your own ego. Because see, there's one or two or three of those little nuggets that you can take away. You don't have to take everything that they're telling you, but there's one or two of them that'll resonate. How does that help you? What is it that you want? And how can you ask those questions, as Donnie said, unapologetically? Ask the question and not be afraid to sound stupid or ignorant, saying something ignorant. Say it. I don't know this. I need to know this. And allowing somebody, because see, then now you done turned on the box and they start talking. And they'll tell you everything you need to know and stuff you didn't know you needed to know. And so if we start dealing with that, and the elders, because we've got a lot of brilliant young people. I mean, y'all be working it, Kashmir. Y'all be doing it, girl. And I'm just so proud of all y'all. It is amazing all the things that you guys are doing and knocking it down, and not afraid, fearless. I love it. But make sure you get those little nuggets. Just make sure you get those little nuggets that you can just hold on to. What are those things that'll keep you strong and keep you focused? Every step has to be strategic as you go, as you well know. You got to be strategic. You've got to be strategic. This is a cold world out here, and it's colder. There are things that are resurrecting now that we weren't even. For a while, we knew that there was racism stuff going on. We already knew it. Some of it was blatant when I was younger, but then there was like this little pause, right? Now it's back, right? How do we navigate that? How do we build each other up and strengthen each other and make sure that we're all okay and that we have the right people around, be it young and old, to help us navigate? Because I listen too. I'm not too old to learn. I'm not too old to not listen. I'm not too old to acknowledge that there are things I do not know. And I don't have a problem calling all my young friends and say, wait a minute, I don't know how to do that. How you do that? Tell me, wait a minute. Girl, call me back when I don't have a problem. Teach me. I don't want to sound stupid. Teach me. I want to be on the cutting edge. Teach me. I want to get there and get that money. Teach me. And we each one teach one. We'll be all right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we lost Donnie, but that's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, there he is.
You
He's
ain't
back.
listen, Marsha, you got to say hello to Chap before you go. You haven't met Chap, and we'd like to welcome
I
in
met Chap
all the way
before.
from Chi-Town,
I
Cynthia
met Chap
Boyd.
before. Chi-Town. You know I'm from South Bend.
I'm from Baltimore, but all I know is when I'm in Chicago, I definitely stop by Harold's for some lemon pepper chicken. That's all I know.
It's been a long time though, man.
Awesome. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Cynthia Boykin with What You Need Is, and I'm in Chicago and Phoenix, and we now have a Harold's Chicken in Phoenix.
Ooh,
as well. Yes. You know, there's so many people here from Chicago, so that's exciting news for us.
That's great.
All right, you all. I'm getting ready. I'm out. Have a
Okay,
great
nice to see you,
afternoon.
Marsha.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you, and have a blessed weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Miss Marsha. Enjoy your weekend.
So come on in, tell us what's up, Cynthia.
Well, whew, it's been busy. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Well, it's still morning in the East Coast. I'm back in Phoenix right now. So I'm so excited to be here. And, you know, I work with a lot of business owners, Donnie, and a lot of my business owners are doing big events today. So I have a couple people we're going to tie into. And what I thought about myself, because well, first of all, let me tell you who I am. I'm Cynthia Boykin with whatyouneedis.com, because what you need is a master networker. And, you know, it's been a process for me because I'm a supporter of everyone. I support a lot of businesses. I'm the person in the background. Donnie, he pulled me out like, you're not the background person. And I realized this morning, when, you know, everybody has events to do, that I'm going to tie in, Donnie, they're going to come in at the events that they're doing. I realized, well, first of all, I represent everything I do. I wear everything I talk about with the Black people, Black businesses. So that's where I'm coming from today, you know, to share, you know, my background as being a master networker. I don't talk the talk, I walk the walk. So I support everyone. I buy all the books because I believe, you know, it takes action. If you say it, you have to back it up. You have to back it up with dollars, you know, because that's what.
Cynthia, you also run another organization I'm just learning about.
Oh, the Boss Network. Yes, I am the network manager of the Boss Network, and the Boss Network is the #1 entrepreneurial website for women of color. It started 12 years ago. We just had our 12th year anniversary just this past couple weeks ago, and Kamika Smith is the founder of the Boss Network. Started 12 years ago, and I've been working with her probably the last 11 from the beginning. And so we travel extensively. We haven't traveled since COVID, but we travel to at least 15 cities per year with our Ladies That Lead tour. And in each city, we were in Baltimore as well. When we have our Ladies That Lead tour, we've toured with Beverly Johnson, Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. We just had our 10th year anniversary and 12th year anniversary where we honored Miss Beverly Johnson, Tina Knowles Lawson, and we'll have entertainment in each city from the cities that we've been in, but we've been in Chicago. Well, we're based out of Chicago, but Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, LA, Baltimore, DC, Los Angeles, Miami, you name it, the major cities that we've gone to. Our last 2 years, we have done it at home because our sponsors wanted us to, you know, go back to Chicago, our roots. But we're very excited about that. Each tour, we have women on, we highlight 4 different women with different topics, and they're from that city. I'm trying to think, I can't remember exactly when we came to Baltimore, maybe about 5 years ago.
Well, listen here, Cynthia. Tasmia, I'm about to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I think it's time. Tell them about the pitch.
Oh, the brunch pitch. The brunch pitch is an all Black everything pitch competition for Black entrepreneurs. And we have them pitch in front of a panel of Black judges. I do this with my co-founder, Emma. We're based out of New York, but we're going on tour next year. This last competition that we had earlier this month was our finale. We actually had the casting director from Shark Tank come to hear some of our entrepreneurs pitch, along with Precious Williams, Cal Spencer. So we had a great time. It was on the backdrop of having a Black-centric culinary experience where we had a Black food historian named Tanya Hopkins, the food griot, where she basically wrote Black people across the diaspora back into American brunch. It was amazing.
And you want to take this around the country now?
Yes, we do. We are definitely coming to Baltimore. We're working on that with Donnie now. But we are slated to come to DC in February, and we're going to do a kids pitch here in the tri-state area. So for more information, you can definitely reach us at brunchpitch@gmail.com. You can look for us on our YouTube channel, Brunch Pitch, and visit the website, brunchpitch.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dave, I don't want to leave you out, Dave. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, no, I'm just listening. Two comments. So, but on Tasmir's point, there's you need to make it down to Baltimore because Steve Harvey's team is in Baltimore right now filming some reality stuff. And HBO and Warner Brothers is in town filming stuff. And so you talked about the casting directors of Shark Tank. There's a lot of connections we can make in Baltimore right now in this season. And then to Miss Cynthia's point about supporting Black businesses and stuff, while we were talking earlier with Miss Marsha, I was reading an article about the state of Maryland is supposed to have 29% procurement for Black businesses, minority-owned businesses.
It's more like 2%.
Yeah, it's less than it's definitely less than 10%. And something that's interesting when I try to go on like Charm City TV and watch what the Board of Estimates is doing and stuff like that. Conveniently during COVID, obviously you can't go to the meetings, and then conveniently during COVID, when they're supposed to air what's happening live, they'll show meetings from like 2-3 weeks ago. So we can't tell where that money's going until it's too late. And I don't even know where to begin to address that.
It's by design. You're not wanted.
Obviously.
They don't want you there. Cynthia, is City Hall in Chicago closed? Because our City Hall is like you by appointment only. Help me out.
Oh, no, I would say no. Chicago's very open. Very open. And one thing we have that has been helpful and very powerful here in Chicago is the Chicago Urban League. And so what you can't get through the city, you can get through Chicago Urban League. But the city of Chicago is very open. They have a lot of programs. They have a lot of, now they're doing Zooms, but they've always been open to entrepreneurship on all levels, all demographics. I can't say that about Chicago.
Tasman, New York City, is City Hall open? The borough halls?
I think we are. It's very hard to understand what's happening here in New York City. I mean, we have like a press conference from the mayor. We just had our elections that just happened where we have all new borough presidents coming in January, but very scattered. I mean, the number one thing that we still are talking about here in New York City is COVID. And the rates and people getting vaccinations and schools, that's a big thing now, vaccinating kids and trying to figure that out. So I'm not completely sure if City Hall is open or not. I think different entities are doing their own things.
If you're just joining us, folks, it's a Super Saturday. We want to celebrate businesses, Black businesses across the country. We've had a number of people on. We have more people coming. We've already had the West Coast, and the West Coast is about to come back in. But Cynthia, how can people support your business? What can people do to support you?
Okay, well, it's funny to support me. They have to support. I support everyone. So if you support, it's funny that you say that, because when I think of people support me, I never think of it that way. I just think that as I do, if I line myself up to do my job, everything else falls into place, because this is my purpose. This is what I'm called to do. But I am at what the letter UNeedIs.com, and on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all my sites are whatyouneedis.com. But I'm here to support people, support their endeavors, support that they're still here. We're still here, and we have opportunity to start all over again. We have opportunity to help each other. I'm compassionate and sincere about what I do. I had a pastor that said years ago, when you do what you're supposed to do, you're never working, and another thing is that when you learn to serve people, you'll never be broke. So that's why when people say, oh, I'm looking for business. No, I'm looking to support people, because that's why I'm never broke. Because it's about service. We have to go back to serving people. It's not about what you got, what I got to sell. Although I got some fabulous things to show you that, because I live them and wear them. So I'm like a walking billboard, but I'm here to support. And I think that that's a message I guess I could, really promote, is that when you learn to serve people, everything else falls into place.
Cynthia, I want you to bring this point home for me. You taught me something about 2 weeks ago. I've never forgot it. Chap, you got to hear this. Cynthia, you told me my prices were too cheap. You said they are not your tribe. You trying to cater to the wrong. They are not. Tell them, Cynthia.
Yeah, that is true, because in fact, people have money. People have money for what they want, and of course, I'm sure we've all heard it. When you lower your prices, you're going to get a lower kind of person that they want things for free, and people do want things for free. They're like junkies. They have all this information, but they will never disseminate it, or they'll never walk into what they know. It's like it's deposited in them, but then they don't release it. So yeah, you have to up your prices, because they're not your tribe. Because sometimes I hear that. Someone had to tell me that when I first started my business. I started with vintage purses, unique, beautiful purses, because I'm like the Miss Fabulousness. I am. So I would have purses, unique purses. And I was selling them real low. And my friend told me, I'm gonna need you to move out the way. And she priced my stuff, because I was thinking, well, I only spent $8 for it. How can I charge somebody $25 for it? And that's what I learned that years ago. She said, I'm gonna let you move out of the way. But through the years, I learned that those are not your people, because you'll always be down there, and I was a vendor at first. And so I'd have red purses, and they'll say, well, where's the blue one? There's not a blue one. That was their way of saying, they're not going to do business with you, basically. So they're looking for what you don't have, so they can say, well, I tried. But no, sometimes they're not your tribe. It's okay.
Chap, I want you to tell me a little bit about reciprocity. What have you learned out here? Now, you believe it or not, he's a chaplain among his many hats with the Baltimore City Police, but he's big on supporting businesses, including Black businesses. Chap, tell me something about what go around, come around.
Well, shoot, to answer your question, I am a full-time volunteer chaplain right now.
Who drives a Hummer?
Yeah, that's one good one. I got plenty of good stories. So to your point, Cynthia, about service, we don't use certain vocabulary either. We don't have a network of people per se. We have family or tribe, right? Service, life of service is not a action or a duty, more of a lifestyle. I'm 43. I've never missed a meal I didn't choose to miss. I've always had a heart of service. And intentionally, since like 2008, I moved back to Baltimore. Very intentional with my service. I've never. Let me say this, Donnie. I don't know if you know this, but in my life, I bought one vehicle from a church lady when I was 16 for $1, and I've never bought a car since. And I've always had a vehicle, if not 2 or 3 at a time. Most recently, through my service in the community, running around in like a '99 CRV hoopty, making it work, getting where I need to be, getting resources where they need to go. Someone in the community donated a 2006 H3 Hummer, just gave it to me. I still don't know how to act, right? Because I'm used to driving hoopties all the time or whatever I can get and make it work. And it was kind of surreal. I'm finally settling into it like a year later. Even to the point, I saw a lot of corruption and politics dismantling and damaging the community in a very entry level position at Parks and Recs in Baltimore. And so I resigned from it because what I thought I could do in the rec center with all my hats that I wear, like Donnie said, volunteered in the schools and the juvenile detention centers and volunteering as a city chaplain and a community organizer. All these things and all the relationships I've built, I should have brought my family and poured into this community, but the city just is not interested in community or people or even having people in the building. They just want to say it's open to get paid, right? So I resigned from there, and how about 2 weeks later, resigning from them and then just jumping back into community and serving. Like 2 days later after I resigned, somebody in the community told HBO to call me because they needed a token white boy to film over West Baltimore. And like, they were like, we heard you're the guy. And I'm like, yeah, that's not far from acting. I can do that. And so for the next 2 months, I've filmed with HBO. Again, no aspirations of being an actor, doing nothing more than doing what's in front of me with excellence and serving my people and my family and my tribe. And things like that they just come, right? It's not, you're not looking for it. You're not like necessarily selfishly going after things, but when you do the right thing, right? Like Spike Lee said, that's it. Do the right thing. Just do the right thing.
Okay, I think we're being joined by our West Coast. He got a moving camera. You got to stay still, Doug. You're making me very dizzy. Keep the camera still. Don't move it.
Good morning, America. BlackUSA.News America. How is everyone today?
Good morning. Good morning.
Doing great.
Good morning.
I feel an honor and a privilege to be on this platform with so many great hosts and people who represent people who look like us who are on this stage. Thank you.
So Doug, you're going to be driving this ship in a few minutes. You're doing too much. Okay.
Hey, well, Cynthia, while we're waiting for Doug, I also wanted to share with you something I learned on my show, Donnie, a couple weeks ago. We had invited some artists, 2 guys. This guy, Aces and Rags, they run a tattoo shop. They're veteran artists over 10 years, 15 years. We had a young lady who was kind of a fresh artist and just had done her first studio exhibition at the Loft. And then there was a lady who was just a hobby artist that picked it up during COVID and doing stuff in her personal space, and everyone for different reasons, but they're all in the same community. And once they started talking, the one lady was talking about her exhibition and she didn't know how to price stuff. And so she's making original pieces and not understanding, not adding the value of herself she put into her work, not adding the value of her time, but just thinking of materials, right? And so she has an original art piece, an expression of herself that has great value, and she maybe would price it for $200, $250. And the guys, the seasoned guys were saying, no, you take your original, you make like maybe 100 prints, and you charge like $50, $75 for those 100 prints. And now that original is now worth $7,500 before you even get to the original, right? And he was saying how if you have an original and you're willing to sell that at an exhibition, he said you can put $500 on that and maybe make a little bit of scratch. He said, but the people that show up to that exhibition looking for something out of the ordinary and looking to spend like $10,000 on a piece, that's not even on their radar. They're going to walk right past it no matter how good it is, right? But if you put $10,000 on your artwork, now everybody's looking at that. Like, what makes that $10,000, right?
Yes.
So it really spoke to the value of people, and with our writers, right? We're doing a book signing this month and next month in December, and one of the authors was like, "Yeah, I'm going to come and give my books away," and I'm like, "Bro, don't give your books away. You're diminishing the value of our entire community because you're saying my books are worthless. They're not." You know, and understand he wants to get his word out there, but we've got to be compensated for our time and our piece of our life we're sharing with you, for our art and our energy. And our community has infinite value, and we keep devaluing ourselves. So I think that's an important subject to talk about that you brought up about, you know, pricing your things and what our value is as a whole, as Black businesses, as a Black community.
Yes, you're right. That's a whole subject right there. And I always equate it to, you know, I look at people and I'm talking to people, and sometimes, you know, they have red bottom shoes, they have YSL bags that cost $3,000, and then they come to your table and they don't want to give you $75 for a pair of earrings.
Cynthia, I gotta jump in. I went to Ethiopia back in 06.
Mm-hmm.
They have goats there. The leather from those goats are bought by Coach Bag and all those other people. They get their leather from Ethiopia. It takes all of $2 to make an $800 bag. Did you know that? They get the leather from Ethiopia, because remember, Ethiopia and Italy, there's that little connection. I don't know if you know it, but the only time Ethiopia was occupied was by Mussolini for a couple of years. But that's the only African nation that's never been colonized, dominated by Europeans. But the leather from Ethiopia goes straight to Italy, and they buff it up, and then they want to sell it to our sisters for, you know, $18 million.
Well, I think too, the point Cynthia started making was like, our community often thinks that supporting is like, hey, you got a t-shirt brand, Taz? Well, I'll wear your t-shirt. Give me one. I'll put it out there. We always asking for something for free from our family and people we say we're supporting. And that's backwards. Like, if anything, if you got a hoodie for 40, let me just give you 80 for it. You know, that's how we support. Like, to your point, Cynthia, you support by spending money, keeping our money in our communities longer than 6 hours, right? Not asking stuff for free all the time because your cousin has a t-shirt shop or a restaurant, right? It's counterproductive.
Well, I think some of that is the value, right? I think that we don't place value on each other the way that we should, because we think that we should get it for the low all the time. So we always want the quality to be like luxury. It can't even be first in class. It can't be premium. It has to be like the best. Give me your best, but give it to me for the lowest price because I don't value it coming from you. That's what I find is a challenge being a founder, is that people want the information, they want the results, they know that you can deliver, but because it's you delivering it, they don't want to pay top notch.
Well, to further that point, you're not going to Macy's and ask Macy's to barter down what their prices are, and that's what we have to start looking at. We have to respect. Can't do that. We got to respect Black businesses as we do all businesses.
Correct. Yeah.
I will say, Doug, my mother taught me you can't walk into the mall and barter.
I did that with some glasses. I walked into, I think it was Cohen or something like that. And I really wanted some glasses, but I was like, man, I wish this was like a Black Friday sale. And the saleswoman was like, yo, you want a Black Friday sale? Why can't I give it to you now? It's the middle of the summer, nowhere near the winter time. But I think that that's also that we don't come from a community that knows how to negotiate with other people. We know how to negotiate with ourselves, right? Because we don't understand. I was having a conversation with a gentleman from Nigeria, and he was saying, the problem with American people is that you think that the price is just the price. The price is fluid. Like, it can go up, it can go down. It's like, let's have a conversation. I just want you to understand what I'm valuing it to be. But if you can't afford it, let's talk about it and let's figure out how we kind of meet in the middle. But I think we're so comfortable doing that we somehow devalue that we don't do that with other things that we place the value on. That's why I think it's a value issue here. Because we're not going to go to Louis and say, yo, can I have those red bottoms for like 50% off? We just aren't going to do that. But we might go to our hairstylist and say like, hey, I really want this hairstyle, but I don't have all of it. Can you please give it to me for this? We'll do that in other segments.
Yeah, I think kind of to paint the picture too, like you said, you might have XYZ product, and like to Doug's point, if we go to Macy's, we'll just pay retail face value for it, no problem. But if we go down to like, Mr. Terrence's spot, we're gonna ask him for a hookup because like you said, because of our culture, because of how he looks, or the space that he's in. And my example of that is as a chaplain, there's been a couple times where like a major has picked me up off the street to go to a meeting at City Hall, and I'm wearing like cami pants and a tank top and a chain, and I go into City Hall to sit down with like directors of agencies to talk about whatever we're doing in the community, and I can share my opinion or whatever I have to say isn't really heard because of how I look in the space I just came from, right? They just picked me up off of Park Heights or Pensy Ave in Lawrence or, Druid Heights. But then someone in the community, again, to speak to Donnie's point about sharing how a life of service is fulfilling, one of the community presidents, Cesar Romero in Bayview, took me out and bought me a suit and bought me shoes and said, you're going to need this for those conversations. You can't go in there looking like that. They're not going to hear you. And in fact, when I put the suit on and I sat down in City Hall and I said the same exact word for word things that I was saying before, the perspective was different. And so they thought they took everything and just ran with it. Like, wow, this is really insightful. This is great, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, this is the same thing I've been saying for like 5 years, but now you hear me because I'm wearing a tie. Yes. So I think on our side, maybe the lesson is to present ourselves professional, because I know a lot of guys are down to earth. I know a lot of mom and pops and black businesses are absolutely down to earth because of the culture and the community and where we come from and how we're trying to bring people up with us. But at the same time, bring them up into that suit and tie mindset, right? Bring them up into that, not that hood king, but the king of kings mindset, It was put to me like that in my service and in the community. Like, I pour myself out for my young men, mostly young men, but not exclusively. Everyone in Baltimore that I can help if I can, and I was doing it from a low position, right? I was doing it from the corner, from the streets, and I'm still doing that. But at the same time, it's appropriate to step up and level myself up, so that instead of pushing people up, I'm pulling up alongside me, right? So that when they need help or they're lost or discouraged, they don't have to come back to the hood to find us, but they can step up onto our level and find us, and we're right there with them. I think that's important.
Good stuff. So, Cynthia, let's plug your business one more time.
WhatYouNeedIs.com. And that is how it works. And when people see me, it's www.what, the letter U, in EEDIS. And when I meet people, be at the Black Enterprise Conference, National Urban League, when people meet me, they're like, oh, I've been getting your e-blast forever. So, people do pay attention. People know who you are. I've been in business for, it'll be 15 years. I work for myself in March. 15 years, whole years, no sideshow going on, no sugar daddy. I have to add that in because sometimes you get a little help. No, this is real. It's organic, and I'm grateful for it. And it was my purpose, what I was supposed to be doing. And when is it Tasmir? Yes. Okay. What I heard you say about in New York, because I know you're from New York, I hear the accent. New York is different. They're very different. I'm from upstate New York. I was raised in Newburgh, New York, up in Hudson Valley. And what was I going to add? That when my last job was at Saks Fifth Avenue in personal shopping. I mean, these people spend $25,000, $50,000 a year on clothes or things, in different places. But when I left I guess it was 2008, people were negotiating at Saks Fifth Avenue. People could negotiate the prices at that point because it comes down to the dollar. You're gonna let the dollar walk away, so you have to know when to do it and when to not, because you're gonna let the dollar go out the door, because once it's out the door, it's gone. You could have gotten 150 instead of 175. They were doing it at Saks Fifth Avenue. After I left.
Cynthia, I also wanted to pull out of you how this digital age, all you need is a cell phone and a laptop.
That's it. And sometimes you may not even have a laptop. You better learn how to work this phone that you have, because we're without excuse. We are definitely without excuse. And on that note, I always, to parents, grandparents, that feel like their grandchild or child deserves a phone that costs $1,100, $1,200, and they can't get nothing back out of that. That's not a right move, because you're just tossing money out, and they can't learn to get anything back. I have my niece to do my social media because that's not my strong point, and it's like you get caught up in social media, but at the same time, the cell phone, even for young people, the point I'm trying to make is young people, teach them how to get some money out of it. What can they do?
How to monetize it.
How to monetize that phone that you just paid for. They could pay it off in 3 or 4 months. You can get $75, $100 a week just doing people's social media.
Tasmir, you want to touch that? You know something about being helping people with their social media?
So I help people build their brands with the business plan from the DM firm. So I work with entrepreneurs from pre-seed all the way to when they're getting ready to do acquisitions, franchises, that kind of stuff, really understand how their business models work, what kind of experts they need to bring in to help them enhance whatever it is that they need to do. But I would say my nephew would be the poster child, because he has actually watched me be an entrepreneur since he was about 3, and he is always monetizing something. So much so, he sold Applebee's a sauce using their own ingredients for like $5. And when they were getting ready to walk away, he said, I'll do a flash sale. So my nephew could definitely teach some people how to monetize, because we definitely are doing lots of entrepreneurial activities with him for him to understand his time and his energy. So yeah, that's super dope.
Awesome. That's so awesome. That's why you're on this show. And you're on this show, and Donnie. Donnie knows all the smart people. I'm honored to be here. But Donnie knows everybody. Donnie knows is gonna be brilliant. That is so awesome. We need to hear from you. How do we connect with you?
So you can connect with me. My email is info@thedmfirmnyc.com. I'm also on Instagram, DM Firm. Also, you can just watch my show Saturdays at 10:15 here on blackusa.news. Every Saturday at 10:15, I do a show called The Blackout Live from New York, where we are reimagining trends that are happening around the diaspora and talking about just things that are going on in business and how do we build Black economics, because I think that that's really what we need to do if we're going to really reimagine how we think about our freedom.
Thank you. So it's the DM firm New York City? NYC.com. Okay.
.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
And Saturdays at 12:15.
Saturdays at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Every Saturday, I'm on here, the Blackout Live from New York.
Oh,
you should come on my show too.
Awesome. Well, awesome. I would love to. That is so awesome. I need you. What I need is
Donnie, you're muted.
We need you to have your own show, Cynthia. This is the family right here. Doug's in LA, Taz in New York, Chap is in Baltimore. We need that Chicago flavor. You told me I don't know nothing about comedian history.
Oh, yeah.
Come join me on Saturdays. You can definitely come right after my segment on Saturdays.
Okay. Join the movement. I'm in California, Oakland, California.
Oh.
Yes, and let me give you a heads up. This Thursday, we're gonna have a gentleman who is suing the mayor of Oakland, the city attorney, the now current California state attorney general for fraud, taking $4.5 million of money that was allocated to go to putting Black and brown kids to college, and she's using it for her own slush fund. The original program, which was called the Promise, and you can Google this, Aura Lee Brown Foundation, started in 1987. She made a promise to her first grade class that if they graduated from high school and was accepted into college, she would pay for their tuition and schooling and that sort of thing. To date, she's done 136 kids. The mayor of Oakland, Libby Schaaf, I hope you're listening, Libby, because you're pissed off Doug Blackshear and you pissed off Black and brown kids who need that money. She has collected over $70 million and can't show what she's done to help Black boys and girls who are going to school and going to college with that money. Can you imagine what Aura Lee Brown, who was the original Oakland Promise, would have done with that money? We have got to band together from East Coast to West Coast and now Chi-Town. We need you, Cynthia. Step up, girl. Step up, girl. We need you.
Okay. And I have some Oakland connections. I see the mayor out there. Lanice Jones from LA Jones Media.
You gotta be kidding.
Nope. I celebrate her birthday out here in Phoenix, Scottsdale.
When you see Lanice Jones, say Doug Blackshear told me to tell you what's up.
Yes. We've been connected for a long time, and I met her in person just recently, a couple months ago. She celebrated her birthday, the 7 women.
She's a marvelous person. Also,
she is.
She's give her kudos. She's working with the first African American sports and entertainment group to own an NFL team and a woman NBA team. So Lanice Jones is a sister on the ride. You made big roles with me saying that because we need you Black women out there. You are making a difference. And let me say this, I'm a Black man. So, brothers, if you want to step up or show out or challenge me, wake up. The sisters are carrying us right now. Tajmir, Cynthia, lady, thank you. But I'm telling all you black men out there, snap out of it. Get in the game. Because we're losing the game. I know for a fact, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I worked with a lady named Pamela Price. She used to be my attorney. Won a case in front of the Supreme Court. One of the few sisters who won a case in front of the Supreme Court. She brought me in as her alternate delegate for AD 18. And I was the only black man out of 60 people, white, Indian, and other, Hispanic. We have got to start understanding that politics plays a role in business and everything else in life. When earlier I heard on this show, they were talking about how politicians only show up when they want to get elected. And that's true. When they get our vote, they run. They don't do anything. And it starts to look like Biden's part of that team. If you don't respect our vote, then we need to get people who do. I want you all to listen to this. A politician can't have their job if we don't vote them in, first off. Second off, we can vote them out anytime. And until we start exercising that, using our vote as a block, a powerhouse, we are going to be at the bottom of every list in this world. Not in America, not in this continent, but in the world. As Friday's, as my brother Ice said, in the world, man, we at the bottom of everything in the world. We've got to start stepping up and utilizing, and not just depending on the black woman. Cynthia Tashmere, you are part of that. You ladies, I'm humble to what you've done out here. Brothers, step up, shut up, and start doing your job. Man up. That's why a lot of sisters don't respect us. We're not manning up. The second part of that is a lot of our people are hurting from psychological damage that's been done over the decades on black people. Go get that mental help. We have Dr. Ashley Coleman, another sister, comes on the show every Thursday between 4 and 6 Pacific Standard Time. And she breaks down the mental part. If we're not mentally ready for this battle that we are all in for, we're going to lose. Hell, we're losing now. My dad used to say one thing, boy, if you think you crazy, you depressed, you anxiety, go out in the backyard and take them rocks over there and put them on this side of the yard. And if you are still stressed out, take them rocks, pick them up, and put them on the other side of the yard. But we've gone beyond that now, audience. There are psychological damages that are being done specifically to the black man and woman. Let me be clear. White people get therapy. And let me say that for the hearing impaired. White people get therapy. They go to psychologists. They send their kids to psychologists. Black people, we need to start understand we do have psychological problems that need professional help. Unless we address those issues, we are weakening ourselves as a whole. If we are going to stand together as a unit, we got to be strong up here. Because if you're not, you're going to get into drugs. You're going to become an alcoholic. You're going to become suicidal, or you're just going to want to give up.
Hey, Doug, I want to transition. Hey, Chap, you got 2 black sons. Do you deal with PTSD in their lives?
Chap, you're muted.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when Mr. Blackshear was talking 100%. Because I'm from Baltimore. I'm part of that culture that doesn't want to do therapy or whatever. But my wife being a medical professional, me recognizing my son's trauma and being trauma informed as a chaplain in this culture. Yes, my sons do therapy. And it's funny because I was thinking about there's this term called epigenetics. And epigenetics is basically how behaviors and environment can cause like changes that affect the way your genes work. It doesn't like recode or change your DNA sequence, but it changes how your body reads DNA sequence. And so it's handed down genetically. So the trauma from your ancestors and your mother and your grandmother genetically is handed down to you. But what they've discovered with epigenetics is that the way to change that ancestral trauma that is genetically handed down is through conversation. And so that's why therapy works. If you don't believe it for any other reason, believe that like genetically our trauma is handed down generationally, ancestrally. However, therapy and talking about it changes the way that your body reads the DNA and kind of hits a reset button. So it can unpack and reset that ancestral trauma. So yeah, my sons are mixed. Yes, my sons do therapy, and in fact, they get mad at me if I'm like, you know what? I know therapy is stupid. Take a break. They're like, no, Dad, I was looking forward to going this week, and I don't understand it, but I support it because I see the positive changes in their life and the way that it affects them. So for me, I didn't think it was appropriate as a kid because I didn't have an understanding of it, but seeing the positive changes in their lives and how they approach everything in their life because they're able to talk about it, they're able to think from a broader perspective because of it. Yeah, it has value that I didn't understand, but I don't even understand it now, but I know that it has value. So I encourage it.
Hey, chap, that was an outstanding outline. I'm in my favorite coffee shop. I want to introduce the people who keep me alive and well. This is Bree.
Hello.
What's the name of the coffee shop I come in every morning?
Cafe Santana. It's nice to meet you all.
Hola.
Hey, audience, these are my foods that give me the best coffee in town. It is not Starbucks and Pete. It's called...
Yeah, fresh roasted Cafe Santana.
Hey, chap, I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you shared that with the audience. It is important that we receive psychological help, and our Black and brown boys and girls, if we don't get it, then they're the ones who are going to be suffering. So thank you.
Yeah. The therapy and talking about it disrupts that generational curse. It literally, physically, biologically, talking about it will disrupt the trauma. But we got to talk about it.
Cynthia, any thoughts on overcoming trauma?
Ooh, overcoming trauma. Boy. Yes, well, you know, I get therapy.
Call it post-traumatic slavery disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. If you live in a city like Chicago, like New York, like Baltimore, you know, we've seen more than our fair share of violence, of murder, of just trauma. I mean, in Baltimore, we see them killing women, and a 13-year-old girl got killed around the corner from where I live. A 69-year-old lady got stabbed up in a church early in the morning. I mean, it's just bad.
It is everywhere, and I you know, and I grew up with it because I grew up in the 50s, 57 to be exact. So I saw things as a young child, and I knew something was wrong. I didn't know exactly, but I knew something was wrong. So I get therapy now, twice a month. Long as, you know, I have my benefits, I get my therapy as well, and you see it. And that's why I think even for me, sometimes I can only digest so much stuff at one time.
You got to cut off the phone. Cut it off.
It's coming to you all the time. You have to know when I got to fold here. I can't keep going and taking it in. And so that you can be, you know, as you continue to get your mental health, you know, better and cleaner, then you can support people and you can be discerning of what's going on. So it's not people act out, but it's not because it's usually because of some trauma.
Yep.
It's usually and then having the discernment to discern what it is, sometimes just to discern how to deal with people. You have to have discernment. So you have to be clear, I think, so that you can help people.
Yeah, you got to cut some people off.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia, you are one wise woman, and thank you for sharing that. You know, I make light of. I stayed in my mother's basement for almost 4 years, and let me
Hey,
tell
Doug, stay still. Stay still. You got me getting dizzy now.
I stayed in my mom's basement for almost 4 or 5 years fighting a multi-billion-dollar company. And the mind games that they played on me was devastating. And I wish I had the intelligence then that I do now to understand that if you are weak mentally, that's just like having a broken leg or a toothache. You can't fight until you're in pain. And that's both physical and mental. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're exactly right. We're out here we're trying to be soldiers, and we have no equipment on. We're not ready. We're not ready for the war that we're in, but we're in this war, but we're not ready for it.
Can you share with the audience how valuable it has been for you? And you can be as personal as you want, because I'm going to be perfectly clear. At times I had suicidal thoughts. At times I had homicidal thoughts. I figured if I can't kill me, I'll kill them. But talking to someone makes a huge difference. And people need to understand there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I have a medical doctor, I have a dentist, and I have a psychology doctor. Thank you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. For me, I think I've been blessed to be able to have discernment, so I can discern when I need to back up, and I know when to go sit down and just shut things and people off. And I guess I'm radical, but at the same time, I know how to cover myself. I know how to back up and just listen and learn to listen, because 2 ears, 1 mouth. If you listen, you listen, that way you can discern what you need to say to them to even keep them calm, because it's going to keep you calm.
Or if you need to say anything to them at all.
Right.
Delete, block, cut off, quiet.
Yes. Sometimes it's just a touch, or just a touch, because people are not even used to human touch now. They're used to everything being social. They're not even, sometimes it's just a touch.
Cynthia, I'm talking about cutting the phone off.
Okay. Yeah.
He's on the other side. I was going to say too, for the therapy piece, like, you don't necessarily have to have a paid professional to talk about stuff. You just need people you can trust who are in your ring.
That's the one difference between a friend and a shrink. The shrink is compelled by law to keep their mouth shut.
Exactly.
Hey, Doug, we don't see you. We don't see you, Doug.
Oh, hold on. I'm going through a bad area. I'm trying to meet up with Kamal Hubbard.
He's sick. He's sick today. I got his message. So you may not want to go there.
Can I comment on
come on, Cynthia's
point? I lost my thought, man.
Cut the phone off, deplug, unplug.
No, the touch. So I'm gonna tell you a story I like to share of why human touch is important. This is before COVID. We were doing a resource. Me and who was it? I think it was me and Tori Rose was doing a health resource event at the clinic on North and Penn, the health clinic. And it was funny because all the resources that were there and available, everybody who needed them was across the street getting high or doing whatever. And so the resources weren't meeting the people who needed it. So we had to actively go, like, let people know, like, hey, there's free HIV testing, there's free, birth control, there's 3-way, whatever we had, that was being offered. We just were over there communicating and kind of bringing people over. And I met this young lady who'd been on the street selling herself for like 15 years. And we were talking for a while, and it's very transactional.
Come on, Jeff, get to it, baby.
Well, okay, so we're talking. We had a conversation about what she needed. She's about to check out, And then when her and her friend were about to leave, I gave them a hug. To Cynthia's point, I gave them a hug. After I gave them a hug, the real conversation started, right? And so we really started talking, and the lady was crying. Her friend was crying, like I was crying, because no one in 15 years of using her body had just given her a hug. She said she hadn't had a hug in 15 years, and I can't imagine that, right? The touch is so important. 19 days later, she calls me 2 a.m, because I'm a chaplain. I give my phone out to everybody, and my wife's like, "Who the heck?" But it wasn't PG. But
Your wife cussed. She ain't say heck. She said, "Who the?"
She did. Yep. She cussed me out. So who's calling you 2 a.m? And I was like, "Oh, it's that hooker."
State Farm guy. The State
No,
Farm.
it's that hooker from North Avenue, and she's like, "If I know you better," and she just rolled back over, went to sleep. And that's like one of my funniest moments in my life is that I had to, this young lady had called me 19 days later, 2 a.m, because of that hug and the conversation that followed. She had been clean 19 days. She was in a facility, but they black out where you can't use her email, right? So she stole a phone to call me to say thank you. But who does that? Who tells their wife at 2 a.m? Oh, it's a hooker from down the street calling? Like, it was just very funny to us. But that's the same.
Probably not what you want to say.
No, but that hug changed her life, and that hug
changed your life too.
Wow.
I have to run, you guys, but it has been a pleasure having you guys on for the Blackout Live from New York. Only the first segment, but can't wait to do this with you guys again shortly. Donnie, thank you so much for all the encouragement and all the pushing. Enjoy the last 30 minutes of this segment. I can't wait to post it all over the place.
Much love, Taz.
Okay, awesome.
So we're gonna go around the horn. Cynthia, any final thoughts?
Oh, well, I'm thankful for you to get me up and make moves, and I'm just encouraged by the gentlemen, the men. Okay, the men that are on this show, because it is the men. People say women do a lot, they do, but when the men show up, oh my God, my heart just flutters. So I'm excited about
two Capricorns right here. This one, and they notice they never sit still at the same time. Come on, Doug, who you got now?
Okay.
I have the people who serve me the best coffee in town. I'm going to put the card up here in front of it so you can see it. It's in Oakland, California.
What's the card say?
Yep. Hi, I'm Risa. I'm the owner's daughter. It's nice to meet you all. And yeah, this is our family cafe, family run, family operated, everything.
And give me your address. Go plug in.
4100 MacArthur Boulevard, right here.
And it is minority owned. So be sure if you're in Oakland, California, you come to, there is their card right there.
It's upside down, Douglas.
Oh. Hey, go ahead.
There we go. Fresh roasted here in-house. We roast our own beans.
And my man back here, Curtis, who's mastering the bistro. What's going on, Curtis?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, all righty then. So, Cynthia, put your contact information out there.
Okay. www.whattheletteruneedis.com. What you need is, and I switched up earrings too. These are earrings that,
I noticed that. That's funny.
Yeah, I switched it up, and they can get those earrings from me as well. A little something I do on the side, because I live it, with all the products that I do. So, whatyouneedis.com on all the sites. It's whattheletteruneedis.com, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
And what's your word of encouragement to entrepreneurs, Cynthia?
My word of encouragement: learn to serve the people, and you'll never be broke. You'll always be blessed. It's about service.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Thank you. That is awesome. And that is what we need to understand as business owners. We have to serve. We have to present a product.
Take your mask off, Doug. You outside.
Hold on.
Boy, he can't. She wouldn't.
Doug is doing a lot. Okay.
Yes, he is. Early in the morning.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Come on, Chappie. Bring it home.
I'll build on what Miss Boykin stated. Is that service? If you can serve, you can lead. Service is the qualifier for leadership.
Yes. Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I have my mask off, Donnie. I apologize, audience. I'm out here in the morning.
No, we about to wrap it up, Doug.
Okay. Well, let's wrap it up with this. No matter where you are and who you are, unless you are mentally prepared for this huge battle that we all are involved in now, if we are going to win the war, we have got to be prepared for each and every battle. We have Dr. Adams comes on every week on the Black Business Roundtable, and she breaks it down, the psychological impact that our young people are facing. And let's just be honest, our young people are not prepared mentally. Second, they're not going to take the crap that we took. They're coming in, kicking in the door saying, hey, that was my mama, that was my grandparents, that was my great-grandparents. We are not going to be run over by the powers that be. And at the end of the day, Donnie, the platform that you have laid out here and allowing people like me from on the West Coast to hook up with Cynthia in Chi-Town, the middle part of America, and the East Coast. If we don't start collectively putting our ideas together and standing strong, first, we got to get people out to vote. That's the most important thing. Because the money comes through the government, goes into not the Black and brown community, but they go into the communities that vote, and that's usually white community. And until we start telling our people, hey, look, your vote does matter.
Doug, that's not enough. We got that part down. What we don't have down is who to vote for.
Ooh.
Well, hold tight. I ain't finished.
Okay.
Who to vote for. Also, we never talk about judges. And then also, after you vote for them, we have the mentality that's enough. Chap, help me out.
I'm biting my tongue on this one, man. The judges are crushing our people. I've seen it too many times, especially our young people. Just because they have color, just because they have melanin, bro. They are disgusting. The system's disgusting. Our youth will sit in booking or holding for 6 to 8 months while their case is processed, then get sentenced to 6 to 8 months in a facility that's supposed to rehabilitate their behavior with no consideration for time served. The whole time they're locked up, they're not getting no education. They're not getting nothing, man. It used to be you go to the boys' school or you go to Maryland Training School or Hickey Boys' School or something. Now you just sit in holding for months and months and months without consideration of time served. And then you got to go do a program that if you fail, you get locked back up. Bro, our system's broken in that sense.
And that's the irony.
And the judges they're not considerate. They don't put anything in context. They see young people of color. Shit.
Chap, is big business. Even the phone calls out of jail is big business. And so Black people, we have to reverse the trend whereby people are making money off of us getting locked up. We got to stop going to jail. We got to take advantage of
school. Be helping with that, not sending people to jail for low-level stuff.
Yeah. Now, I live in a neighborhood where people throwing bricks at the penitentiary all day long.
I live in a neighborhood where you can walk into the grocery store, go shopping, and walk out, and they can't stop you because if they block your path, it's kidnapping. So when they let you walk out and call the police are not responding to shoplifters because they're not getting charged.
No, that ain't happening on the avenue. You will get locked up.
I beg to differ, man. They're not calling. They're not answering calls for that right now. I'm telling you.
It depends on where you at
and
who you are.
I received that. The shoplifters walking, like my kids in my neighborhood, they take what they want.
See, well, let me tell you something. That makes the price go up. And see, well, anyway, we're getting off topic. It's been a wonderful day. Cynthia, you've made some new connections.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
And that's what it's about.
Yes,
Hey,
that's
Chad,
what it's
this
about.
lady is about her business. She's one of the only people I've ever met that she supports me unconditionally. And I try to give it right back. And Cynthia, Chap, the same way. That's my German Shepherd's godfather.
Okay.
It's a family vibe. It's a family vibe. That's what I love about BlackUSA.news. And it's a family vibe, and we honest to a fault.
Hey, Doug, any final thoughts? And look, this is the short one because you done the hokey pokey. You were supposed to be driving, but you ain't. You know what, Doug? We be back next week for your show.
Yes, we will.
Now he can't. He muted all up.
In a nutshell, Donnie, and I think everybody can contest to this who is on this stage right now. What you are providing is what we need. We need the real USA Black news. We're not getting it out there. It's being filtered to control what we think is almost, let's just look at it like the Matrix. They're telling us things that will pacify us. They're telling us things that will put a Band-Aid on a on a cut that is hit a main artery. And until we start looking at, and I do mean until we start looking at the psychological damage, preparing our people mentally to engage physically, we're going to lose.
We want to win. And if you folks agree, we'll try this again, maybe the Saturday before Christmas, but we just want to bring attention again to our small businesses. For Chap, Cynthia, and Doug, my name's Donnie Glover, and we wish you a powerful Super Saturday.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you, Donnie. Thank you.